Chapter 467. Genius 1 second. Remember, love go divided by small. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. And Faye, is there any difference between your avatar and your original body? Is it the same as your thoughts? Night Sorrow asked as he looked at Wu Lingfei's avatar. Yes, this is an avatar nurtured by the power of the soul. Although the flesh and blood on its body is condensed from the energy of the void Tao stone and is slightly different from the original body, its thoughts are the same. I am your Aunt Faye. Wu Lingfei's avatar said. Then I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. He had always been a little worried that this Wu Lingfei's avatar would be emotionless. Let's go chase after those two dark spirit corpses. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Faye, you rest for a while. I'll use my mount. Night Sorrow released Tianyu. That's fine too. After Aunt Faye becomes a venerable, her mount will be released. Wu Lingfei also came to Tianyu's back. Then, under Wu Lingfei's command, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and chased after one of the dark spirit corpses. Night Sorrow took out the void Tao stone that contained Wu Lingfei's avatar and looked at it. Aunt Faye, this void Tao stone is broken. This is indeed an unexpected situation and a miscalculation. If this space is not the same as the Dark Island, then it will be more troublesome. Love go small say W, Chu, Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Faye, I still have a void Tao stone here. Take it and use it. Night Sorrow said. You can't use it. Even if it's not the same space, you can wait until Aunt Faye breaks through. You have to keep the void Tao stone. It's the best medium to condense avatars. It's very important to you. You can't use it to mess around. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. But the situation over there is very serious. Night Sorrow was a little worried. He was worried that if that guy grew up, he would not be able to control it in the end. Don't worry, it will definitely enter the sage realm later than Aunt Faye. At that time, we will be able to take care of it. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Then I'm relieved. Night Sorrow nodded. Keep the void Taoist stone. Once you enter the sovereign realm, Aunt Faye will teach you how to cultivate a clone. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Thank you, Aunt Faye. Night Sorrow said. Then let's continue forward. That dark spiritual corpse is about 500 kilometers ahead. After killing it, we'll go deal with the other one. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had pointed out. After advancing for an hour, they weren't far from where Wu Lingfei was. Wu Lingfei stood up and said, You still want to run? Night Sorrow, follow me. After saying that, Wu Lingfei's body flashed and disappeared from Night Sorrow's sight. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He steered Tianyu in the direction that Wu Lingfei had disappeared. After half a cup of tea's time, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei. Not far from her was the corpse of the dark spiritual corpse. This guy still wants to run. Can he run? Wu Lingfei snorted. Her body flashed and landed on Tianyu's back. Over there. Let's chase in that direction. The guy running there doesn't have a high cultivation, but he should be the strongest. We didn't kill him at first because we didn't want to waste time. Okay, let's chase in that direction. Night Sorrow nodded. After killing it, Aunt Faye will go with you to find resources. We can't come here for nothing. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Don't worry about that, Auntie Faye. To tell you the truth, I don't lack cultivation resources right now. The Xian turtle crystal and blood spirit turtle crystal I obtained from this trip to the Sea of Ice Plains are enough for me to reach the 7th order, let alone the 6th order, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. His body has reached the 7th order. You can. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. I can do it. I've obtained a body tempering technique before. It's recorded in it, Night Sorrow said. That's not bad. The soul and the body are the two most important things for a cultivator. It's good that you have such an opportunity. Wu Lingfei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Aunt Fei, do you want to take a look? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. He didn't want to cause any misunderstandings between him and Wu Lingfei. He also sincerely hoped that Wu Lingfei could become stronger, because if she was strong, the Eastern Xian region would be strong. Plus update SOJ_previous, no need. Auntie Fei cultivates her body, but we walk on a completely different path. Auntie Fei's profound ice body is strengthened by Jin Qi, but you walk the path of Qi in blood. It's completely different. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. Being kind and benevolent is a virtue, but it is also a weakness for cultivators. Now, Auntie Fei will force you once. Swear an oath that you will not casually tell others about the heavenly fate pearl and the body tempering technique. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Aunt Fei is not an outsider. Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and said. Hurry up and swear. These two things will cause a lot of trouble. Revealing them won't do you any good. In the future, other people will appear by your side. You may know a person for a long time, but you don't know their true nature. That's why Auntie Fei has to swear an oath to you. Wu Lingfei told him the reason she wanted Night Sorrow to swear an oath. Looking at Wu Lingfei's serious face, Night Sorrow raised his hand and swore an oath. And Auntie Fei is relieved now. You are too naive, and this is a dog-eat-dog world. With an oath, you won't feel guilty if you don't tell anyone next to you. Wu Lingfei said. Thank you Auntie Fei for thinking about me. Night Sorrow was very grateful to Wu Lingfei for thinking about him. There are some things that you can't take for granted. Brothers turn against each other, and beauties become enemies. That's why Auntie Fei put a shackle on you. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a jug of wine and handed it to Wu Lingfei. He took out a jug of wine for himself. Relax. Since we are here, the problem can be solved. This small space's laws are not complete. It only contains a strong death qi. The possibility of producing a saint is too low. Wu Lingfei said. With such a strong death qi, wouldn't it be easier to produce a saint with the death attribute? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. There aren't many ways to become a saint. One is to obtain source stones, and the other is to obtain saint crystals. Since the laws here are not complete, it is very difficult to obtain source stones, let alone saint crystals. The possibility is even lower, so saints are not so easy to produce, Wu Lingfei said. Saint crystals. Saint crystals are one of the ways to become a saint. Isn't the battle between saints very cruel? Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Night Sorrow was shocked. That's right. That's why cultivators or monster beasts who become saints generally choose to live in seclusion for fear of being killed, Wu Lingfei said. In other words, cultivators who have just entered the saint realm are just materials in the eyes of powerful saints. Night Sorrow was a little flustered. Chapter 468. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Then Auntie Fei must hide after entering the saint realm, Night Sorrow said worriedly. Auntie Fei is very happy that you are worried about me, but Auntie Fei has already considered this point. This is also something all cultivators who enter the saint realm need to consider. Auntie Fei does not intend to break through with the water attribute. Instead, I have been studying how to break through with the life attribute. Once I break through with the high attribute, my combat strength will be much stronger. At that time, it will be hard to say who will kill who. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew the cruelty of the world. Saints no longer needed saint crystals, but the people around them and their descendants may need them. Therefore, killing people for saint crystals was very likely to happen. Don't worry about this. It's hard to say if there are any saints, but if there are, they won't come out. There's no need to worry. Wu Lingfei said. It seems I was thinking too much. Knight Sorrow nodded. Yes, how many years has it been? I haven't heard of any saints. There are frequent realm wars, but no saints have been seen. Wu Lingfei said. The two sat on the Tianyu and followed Wu Lingfei's guidance to chase the escaping dark spirit corpse. At this time, in the human cultivator camp of Broken Cloud Mountain, in Night Sorrow's tent, Wu Lingfei's main body, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu were drinking tea and chatting. Don't worry, most of the dark spirit corpses have been killed. We are now chasing the last one. After killing it, we will explore this space. Wu Lingfei said after taking a sip of tea. I hope it is the same space as the Dark Island Space Channel. That way, Auntie Fei can solve it in one go. Yang Lei said. We need to investigate before we can make a conclusion. Yi Shang has been to the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, Yi Shang will recognize it. If there isn't, then it's not a space. But it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's doppelganger chased after the escaping dark spirit corpses. Along the way, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger would kill any higher-level demonic beasts that showed signs of rising up, not giving them a chance to grow. That escaping dark spirit corpse has been moving all this time, it has never stopped. Not only is this guy strong, but he's also very cunning. He knows that we'll definitely chase after him, so he didn't stop. He's probably looking for a safe place to stay, Wu Lingfei said. As long as Aunt Fei's profound jade spiritual qi is in its body, it will not be able to escape. Night Sorrow said. You can't say that. After all, the death attribute is a high-level attribute. If it is given enough time, it might be able to refine it. But if it keeps running like this, it won't have the chance to refine it. I think it already knows that something is wrong with its body. Auntie Fei's profound jade spirit qi is still shaking. This is a sign that it is resisting and trying to force it out, Wu Lingfei said. Then we have to hurry. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu to fly faster. Don't worry. If we were in a hurry, Auntie Fei would have already flown over. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded and didn't say anything. He controlled Tianyu to chase in the direction Wu Lingfei had given him. In the evening, the two approached the dark spirit corpse's current location. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. Auntie Fei will take care of it. Wu Lingfei's body flashed and left Tianyu's back, flying towards the area where the dark spirit corpse was hiding. Then the battle began. This dark spirit corpse was quite cunning and strong, but in front of Wu Lingfei's absolute strength, it could only be killed. After killing the dark spirit corpse, Wu Lingfei returned to Tianyu's back. Let's find a place to set up camp. Auntie Fei needs to recover first. The doppelganger consumes a lot of energy, so it can't recover as fast as the main body. This is a flaw. Also, I've been cultivating in the Phantom Dao Stone and didn't bring any resources in. This is a mistake. Then what does Auntie Fei need? Origin Spirit Liquid? Or Life Spirit Liquid? Night Sorrow asked. Then give me 2 drops of Origin Spirit Liquid. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow took out a small bottle of Origin Spirit Liquid and gave it to Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei doesn't have a storage ring. 2 drops will do. After taking the 2 drops, Wu Lingfei returned the bottle to Night Sorrow and sat on Tianyu's back to recover. Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and found a relatively good place. He made a tent out of beast skin and let Wu Lingfei recover. Then he arranged for Tianyu to hunt. After arranging Tianyu's matters, Night Sorrow entered the tent and meditated in a corner. After a night, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger recovered to its peak state. Following which, the two of them continued their search. This time, they did not ride Heavenly Feather. Instead, they walked on the ground. Only by doing so could they find the materials. As they searched, Wu Lingfei killed a lot of dark creatures. Night Sorrow also collected a lot of alchemy materials and even obtained a piece of extreme origin stone. Wu Lingfei told Night Sorrow that it was a good material for refining spirit tools. This made Night Sorrow quite happy. He was worried that his reincarnation spear would have to be reforged in the future. There was no harm in preparing some materials. You have entered the space of the Dark Island. If there is a familiar scene, you can tell Auntie Fei. This way, we can be sure if the two are in the same space. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei, it's not the same space. Night Sorrow sighed and said. Look at the original and chapter V2. Are you sure? Wu Lingfei asked. Yes, the energy is death energy, but the aura is different. The death energy here gives me the feeling that it's drifting and makes me uncomfortable. The death energy in that space is very oppressive, and the energy is somewhat violent. Night Sorrow explained his feeling, which was also the reason why he determined that there were two different spaces. Then it's not the same space. But it's a bit strange. The two places are not far from each other and both have death energy, but they are not in the same space. What's going on? Wu Lingfei couldn't understand. Could it be that they are in the same space but separated? Or is there some other reason that caused this situation? Night Sorrow asked. It's possible, but it doesn't matter. Let's continue searching. But don't hold too much hope for good resources. There are dark spirit corpses full of intelligence here. They will also collect and use natural treasures. Wu Lingfei said. And, it's about time. Let's go. Night Sorrow said. There's no hurry. Although there are fewer resources because of the dark spirit corpses, it doesn't mean that there won't be any. Some things rely on luck and opportunity. The dark spirit corpses can't get it, but it doesn't mean that we can't. Wu Lingfei said. Then let's continue and try our luck. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 469. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small. I'll provide you with some interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei advanced in the dark space for more than 10 days, but the results were mediocre. They collected some alchemy materials and blacksmithing materials. They even reached the edge of the death space, but they didn't find much. The edge of the death space was filled with mist. Wu Lingfei's avatar looked at the spatial turbulence and said, "This is the most terrifying spatial turbulence. It contains powerful law attacks. Let alone sovereigns, even saints would be unlucky if they were caught in it. Unless they have a special protective technique, your Night Moon Dynasty's spatial fissure has this ability." Night Sorrow said, "This is the spatial barrier. Let's look in another direction." Wu Lingfei's avatar nodded. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei's avatar began to explore the space. They had to collect any resources they found. The two searched the death space for nearly a month. They killed any dark creatures they encountered and collected any resources they found. Although they didn't find any heaven-defying treasures, they collected some alchemy materials and ores. Their biggest gain was a small ore vein. They dug out 100 top-grade spirit stones, 300 to 400 high-grade spirit stones, and some mid-grade spirit stones. Top J. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow, "This space is just like this. There's no point in continuing to search. We can go out and seal the spatial passage. Then, this disaster will be solved." Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that there weren't many resources in this space. It was almost impossible for the dark creatures to rise again. After a few days, the two returned to the spatial passage. At the spatial passage, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow for some spirit stones and set up a large formation to hide the spatial passage. Night Sorrow asked, Auntie Fei is also a formation master. I've dabbled a bit. When you cultivate your spiritual strength, you choose sculpting and alchemy. As for Aunt Fei, I've taken the path of studying array formations. I can be considered to have some small accomplishments. As she spoke, Wu Lingfei continued to lay down the array formation. Night Sorrow didn't understand and could only watch from the side. There's a killing formation in the illusion formation. As long as it's not a venerable accidentally bumping into it, any dark creature below the venerable level won't be able to break it. They'll be killed as soon as they enter the formation. We can go back now. Wu Lingfei clapped her hands and said after she finished setting up the formation. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. Calm with the phantom Dao stone shattered, Wu Lingfei's energy clone couldn't return. Night Sorrow activated a void-type protective barrier, wrapped Wu Lingfei's energy clone, and rushed towards the spatial tunnel. With Wu Lingfei in tow, Night Sorrow's protective barrier was a bit weaker. Fortunately, he was still able to hold on. After a moment, he rushed into the spatial channel. After exiting the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei's true body standing not far away. At this moment, Wu Lingfei's doppelganger, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, flashed towards Wu Lingfei's main body and merged into one. Then Wu Lingfei took out spirit stones to set up another formation. Setting up formations on both sides was relatively safer. I go shao say chu not bad. Let's go back. After setting up the formation, Wu Lingfei waved her arm and wrapped Night Sorrow around her, and they began to fly. It's a bit different. Facing Auntie Fei now, it seems more real. Night Sorrow said. That doppelganger's body was nourished by the phantom Dao stone. There are still some differences. Wu Lingfei said. Soon, the two returned to the defensive line of Broken Cloud Mountain. Seeing Night Sorrow return, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were very happy. Auntie Fei, these are the top-grade crystals we dug up this time. Night Sorrow took out all the top-grade crystals and gave them to Wu Lingfei. All right. Then Auntie Fei won't be polite with you. Get ready and leave. You've been exhausted during this period of time. Go back to Dongxian City and have a good rest, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow and the two girls. We don't need to go to the Dark Island. Night Sorrow asked. No need. The Bloodstrike guards are guarding the entrance and killing the small fries. My doppelganger can stand guard there. There's no need for everyone to worry, Wu Lingfei said. That's good. Pack up and we'll set off, Night Sorrow said. Then Wu Lingfei called for a meeting with all the higher-ups of the Eastern Xian region to make arrangements. In fact, before the meeting, her doppelganger had already left for the Dark Island. Night Sorrow told Ho Jian and the others, as well as the members of the Bloodstrike Guards, and started to pack up and prepare to leave. After letting Ho Jian and the others, who planned to go to Dongxian City with him, say goodbye to the sect, Night Sorrow went to the Medicine Valley. He didn't plan to return to the Medicine Valley, so he had to greet the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and the other senior brothers. At the Medicine Valley's campsite, Night Sorrow saw the higher-ups of the Nebulous sect. They thanked the Medicine Valley for coming to help regardless of the past. At the same time, they expressed their attitude. If the Medicine Valley needed help in the future, the Nebulous sect wouldn't refuse. The Great Elder and the others also agreed. Currently, the Medicine Valley was at the peak of its power. Or rather, the Medicine Valley's venerables were relatively weak, but they could still develop. The most important thing was that the Medicine Valley had a strong network of connections. Its soft power was ferocious, and its allies were the Southern Dipper sect and the Thunder Rumbling sect. In addition, it was inextricably linked to the City Lord's mansion. Almost all the businesses of the Golden Flame sect in Dongxian City had been taken over by the Medicine Valley. As long as one wasn't a fool, one would know what would happen in the future. When they saw Night Sorrow, the people of the Nebula sect greeted him. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Then, Night Sorrow told the Great Elder, Gong Xian, and his senior brothers about his decision. Okay, go back when you have time. It's also convenient to have a teleportation formation. In addition, take what I told you last time to heart. If you have time, go back and fight for it, the Great Elder said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Great Elder was talking about the 8-dragon cauldron. He wasn't stingy with the Medicine Valley. Similarly, the Medicine Valley also fully supported Night Sorrow's rise. At present, Night Sorrow was the face of the Medicine Valley. The rise of Night Sorrow was equivalent to the rise of the Medicine Valley. If Night Sorrow didn't fall, it meant that the Medicine Valley wouldn't fall. This was because the current network of connections in the Medicine Valley was almost all built up by Night Sorrow. After greeting them, Night Sorrow returned to his team. At this time, the Tianji Tower team and the Blood-Robed Guards team had finished packing up. After Night Sorrow returned, the upper echelons of the Eastern Xian region also arrived at the front of all the teams. Then, Elder Dai Tianqiang of the City Lord's Manor announced a decision. The representatives of the major sects were summoned to the City Lord's Manor to discuss the issue of the Scarlet Cloud sect's takeover of Dongxian City. The City Lord's Manor's decision meant that the Scarlet Cloud sect's influence in Dongxian City was to be eliminated. This was Wu Lingfei's order. There was no need to nurture a force that couldn't fight for the Eastern Xian region. It was a complete waste of resources. It was better to eliminate it directly and nurture other forces. Chapter 470. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I'm sure everyone knows the reason. No one will fuss over the small details, but we can't be careless. As a citizen of the Eastern Xian domain, the interests of the Eastern Xian domain must be our top priority. No one cares about how you fight normally, but if you dare to play tricks when the Eastern Xian domain is in danger, then I'm sorry. Dai Tianqiang stated the reason for banning the Scarlet Cloud sect. Not satisfied. If the Scarlet Cloud sect didn't agree, then they would be obliterated. The Dongxian City's City Lord Manor wouldn't interfere under normal circumstances. The development of the sects and clans in the region was left to their own devices, but they couldn't be without principles. If one wanted to develop in the Eastern Xian domain, they could fight for territory and resources, but they couldn't be without a bottom line. If they couldn't contribute to the Eastern Xian domain, then the City Lord Manor wouldn't tolerate it. I hope you can take this as a warning. There's one more thing. The Starcloud sect has been under our protection for 20 years. In these 20 years, you're not allowed to infringe on their interests. You've all seen the reason. They've been fighting all this time. Even though their disciples have suffered heavy losses, the Starcloud sect didn't retreat. In addition, the Starcloud sect has to be disciplined. If you step out of line, then this protection order will be removed. Yes, sir. The Starcloud sect's people bowed. Withdraw. After giving another order, Wu Lingfei's body flickered a few times and she left Broken Cloud Mountain. Night Sorrow then turned around and said, "Release the mounts. Let's go." The mounts of the Bloodstrike Guards were slightly inferior, so they were slower. It took them more than half a day to arrive at the Starcloud City. The Starcloud sect was generous. They didn't ask for any spiritual stones and let them teleport for free. After teleporting to Dongxian City and exiting the teleportation portal, Yishan shouted, "Go back and wait for the servants to cook. That's a bit slow. Everyone, move out now." Go buy some dishes. Bring more meat. Following Night Sorrow's shout, the group scattered like birds and beasts, doing what they were supposed to do. Ha! This group of people is too interesting. Not bad, they're all true to themselves, Yang Lei said with a smile. Let's go back to the mansion. When they come back, we can eat and drink to our heart's content. Night Sorrow steered Tianyu back to the mansion. The Bloodstrike Guards and the Tianji Tower team quickly gathered at Night Sorrow's mansion. They set up a table in the garden and started drinking. This banquet lasted for 4 hours. After the group of people had truly enjoyed themselves to the fullest, they dispersed. Back in the living room, Night Sorrow took a sip of the tea brewed by Sikong Chuyu. This time, they can finally stop. Who knows? The world is ever-changing. It's better to cultivate and improve your strength, Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow nodded, knowing that strength was the foundation of everything. However, 13, you don't have to feel pressured. Just let nature take its course. Cultivation isn't something that can be achieved overnight, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow stood up and said, All right, I'll go see some Auntie Faye. Since we're back, we should at least say hello. However, Night Sorrow didn't see Wu Lingfei in the observation tower. Soon after, Night Sorrow returned to the main building. Why are you back so soon? Sikong Chuyu asked. I didn't see her. Maybe she didn't come back because she was handling some matters. Night Sorrow said. There are so many things to do now. She has to make arrangements for Tianji Tower and the City Lord's mansion. She'll be very busy, Sikong Chuyu said. She'll probably be back a little later. It's getting late. You two should enjoy some alone time. Yang Lei smiled and left the main building. Night Sorrow turned to look at Sikong Chuyu. After hearing Yang Lei's words and noticing Night Sorrow's gaze, Sikong Chuyu blushed. How can you look at people like that? Everything is in your eyes. Then let's go rest. Night Sorrow said as he held Sikong Chuyu's hand. Sikong Chuyu nodded slightly. Then, the two of them went to Night Sorrow's bedroom. Chuyu, how's your cultivation going? Night Sorrow asked after sitting down on the bed. It should be fine. But I don't know until I try, Sikong Chuyu said softly. Most Sin, Chapter H, Section C, then I'll cooperate fully. Night Sorrow said as he took off his outer robe. How should I say this? If both of us benefit, at the very least, we won't be hurt. We really have to cooperate, Sikong Chuyu whispered in Night Sorrow's ear. Okay, I'll listen to you later, Night Sorrow said as he hugged Sikong Chuyu. Then, there was the sound of clothes falling to the ground. Amidst the hugs and kisses, and Sikong Chuyu's soft moans, Night Sorrow invaded Sikong Chuyu's delicate body. Slow down. Sikong Chuyu reached out and knocked Night Sorrow's leg. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that after not being together for a long time, Sikong Chuyu's body was not used to it. After burning passionately for a while, Sikong Chuyu hugged Night Sorrow and whispered something in Night Sorrow's ear. Then, Night Sorrow cooperated with Sikong Chuyu and the two of them began to cultivate the harmonization technique. Night Sorrow was not used to doing other things while exercising. He was a little distracted. In the end, Sikong Chuyu pinched his ear and reminded him to get into the zone. They cultivated for half the night. After bathing, Sikong Chuyu asked Night Sorrow, How is it? Very good. It's good that I can be intimate with you and cultivate. I don't feel tired at all even though I've been busy for half the night, Night Sorrow said. As for me, my cultivation has improved significantly, Sikong Chuyu said softly. That's good. You should rest. I'm going to cultivate. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and said. One night won't make a difference. Stay with me, Sikong Chuyu said as he held Night Sorrow's hand. Night Sorrow nodded and hugged Sikong Chuyu to rest. Over the next 2 days, Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu all cultivated the harmonization technique. The technique had little effect on Night Sorrow, but it was very helpful to the two girls. This was because Night Sorrow's blood qi was surging and he was full of yang qi. After refining the yang qi that naturally flowed out of Night Sorrow's body, the two girls benefited a lot. When not cultivating, Night Sorrow would play with Tianyu and Silver Fox or watch the Blood Strike Guard brothers cultivate. After 2 days of peace, Wu Lingfei returned with Lan Yuxuan. Aunt Fei, Lord Supervisor is here. Have a seat. Night Sorrow, who was cultivating the spear, put away his reincarnation spear and greeted them. You've worked hard, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. It's a chaotic world now. It's always good to have more strength, Night Sorrow said as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. That's a good idea. Do you have any plans recently? Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. Not really. What's wrong, Aunt Fei? Do you need help at the Island of Darkness? Night Sorrow asked. Chapter 471. A genius remembers love in 1 second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. But right now, the Eastern Xian region is in troubled times. I don't want to leave, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. It should be safe, at least for a while, Wu Lingfei said. I haven't made any plans for this yet, nor have I prepared anything. Night Sorrow was a little hesitant. There's nothing to prepare. You're just going to meet the people at Tianji Tower's headquarters, then come back. You don't have to worry about anything else, Wu Lingfei said. All right, I'll go, Night Sorrow said. Take them as a tour. Wu Lingfei pointed at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. All right, then Supervisor Lan, when are we leaving? Night Sorrow looked at Lan Yuxuan and asked. It's up to you guys. I can do it any time, Lan Yuxuan said. Then let's do it tomorrow. Yi Shang said. All right. Come find me at Tianji Tower tomorrow. Lan Yuxuan nodded. She was here for Night Sorrow this time. Once she brought Night Sorrow to the headquarters, her mission would be considered complete. Lan Yuxuan left, but Wu Lingfei didn't. I'm going to the Tianji Tower headquarters. Will they arrange something for me? I don't have time to worry about anything right now. Love go little say Night Sorrow said. This was also the reason why he hesitated. It's fine. Just say that it's my idea to return to the Eastern Xian region, said Wu Lingfei. That's good. Night Sorrow hated trouble. After resting for a night, he greeted Ho Jian, Xueling, and the others. He bowed to the attic where Wu Lingfei was resting. Night Sorrow put on his mask and left the mansion with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. He rode his Tianyu to Tianji Tower. In the lobby of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw Lan Yuxuan waiting for them. Then let's go. Lan Yuxuan, who was also wearing a mask, waved at Night Sorrow. After leaving Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow and the other two released their mounts. You all have mounts. I released mine a long time ago, Lan Yuxuan said when she saw Night Sorrow and the other two's mounts. Supervisor Lan, you can ride with me. Yang Lei said to Lan Yuxuan. Lan Yuxuan nodded. She used to fly when she went out. A supremacy's flight was much faster than a flying beast. However, she wanted to ride with Night Sorrow and the other two now. After the four of them arrived at the teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones and said, to Linhai City. When they arrived at Linhai City, Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones without exiting the teleportation array. Taiyue Region's East Smoke City. In the 9-domain world, the Qingtian region occupied the most central position. If one wanted to go to the Qingtian region from the eastern Xian region, they had to pass through the Taiyue region. The Taiyue region's East Smoke City was located in the same location as the eastern Xian region's Linhai City. This time, the teleportation took a longer time. It took the four of them 5 minutes to complete the teleportation. Continue to teleport to Dongshang City. Lan Yuxuan handed over the spirit stones again. After exiting Dongshang City's teleportation array, Lan Yuxuan said, "It must be tiring to take the teleportation array continuously, right? Let's go to the Tianji Tower's branch to rest for a while. I'll go check on them and see if they've done what I asked them to do. We'll continue our journey tomorrow." Knight Sorrow nodded. Of course, he would listen to Lan Yuxuan's opinion now. After checking into the guest room arranged by Dongshang City's Tianji Tower, Sikong Chuyu brewed a pot of tea. "We'll be flying tomorrow. I wonder why Dongshang City doesn't open the teleportation array to Taiyue City?" Sikong Chuyu asked. "Due to the severe depletion of the teleportation crystals, it will only be open during times of war or under special circumstances," Lan Yuxuan said after entering the room. "It's nothing. We have mounts. We can just fly slowly," Knight Sorrow said. "Then you guys should rest early. We'll set off tomorrow morning," Lan Yuxuan said to them. After Lan Yuxuan left, Knight Sorrow and the other two chatted casually. "It'll probably take some time to reach Qingtian City," Knight Sorrow said as he stood in front of the window and looked at Dongshang City. "Our trip will probably take about a month," Sikong Chuyu said. "I thought we'd be able to teleport there if we kept taking the teleportation array." Knight Sorrow said. "The teleportation array is limited. Also, due to strategic reasons, many teleportation arrays aren't usually opened. They'll only be opened during special times and under orders from the royal city," Sikong Chuyu said to Knight Sorrow. "I understand. Chuyu, it's best that you don't expose your fire phoenix. Tomorrow, you'll take the Tianyu with me. Ninth senior sister, you'll monitor with Lan Yuxuan," Knight Sorrow said. "All right, that's settled then," Yang Lei said. She knew that Sikong Chuyu's whereabouts were still quite sensitive. It would be troublesome if they were discovered. Although they weren't afraid now, it was better to have one more problem than one less. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei didn't leave Knight Sorrow's room either. They meditated and cultivated in the room. After dawn, the four of them set off. According to Knight Sorrow's arrangement, 2 flying demonic beasts carried the four of them. The dark-feathered eagle and Tianyu were of the same level, but there was a big difference in speed. Knight Sorrow had to let Tianyu control its speed. They traveled during the day and rested at night. The following days were very peaceful. After half a month, the group arrived at the royal city of Taiyue region. When they arrived at Taiyue City, Lan Yuxuan wanted to bring the 3 of them to the Tianji Tower branch to rest. However, Knight Sorrow wanted them to rest in an inn. That way, they would be more comfortable. Lan Yuxuan nodded and stayed in the inn with the 3 of them. During the journey, Knight Sorrow didn't stop cultivating. His true qi and cultivation of the myriad Daos tome had improved. The improvement of his soul power and bloodline talent was also very smooth. Taiyue region is also a relatively backward region. In the last region war, many supremacies were killed by Lord Wu Quebec. The Taiyue City's city lord also went missing after that battle. The situation might not be optimistic, Lan Yuxuan said. "I heard about this from Aunt Fei." Knight Sorrow nodded. "This is the difference. Back then, Qingtian region joined forces with Taiyue region to take down eastern Xian region. In the end, they suffered heavy losses. Qingtian region recovered quickly, but Taiyue region was almost annihilated, Lan Yuxuan said. Aunt Fei has recovered. They don't know what's going on, Knight Sorrow said. I'm not sure about that. However, even if they were given the guts, they wouldn't dare to attack the Eastern Xian region again. Although the Eastern Xian region doesn't have many venerables and the cultivation level of their cultivators is somewhat low, Master Wu Kei is an insurmountable mountain. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Aunt Fei's existence is an important factor for the stability of Eastern Xian region. Without Aunt Fei's suppression, the other regions wouldn't be so obedient. Night Sorrow sighed. Look at the chapter BJI of the C edition. Chapter 472. Genius 1 second remember love go/little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. So there's such a thing. Night Sorrow sighed. Yes. In the past, Wu Kei Lord didn't stay in the Eastern Xian region. She often traveled to the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. She was our Tianji Tower's Heaven's Terminus envoy, chief supervisor, and vice Kei Lord. Later, when the old Kei Lord was about to die, he had to choose between Wu Kei Lord and the current chief Kei Lord to take over the position. However, at that time, the Qingtian region and Taiyue region started a war with the Eastern Xian region. Lan Yuxuan explained in detail. After the war broke out, Wu Lingfei returned to the Eastern Xian region and led people to fight the people of the Qingtian region and Taiyue region. The battlefield was outside the Eastern Xian region's waterfront city. After Wu Lingfei killed many venerables, she fought with the Qingtian city lord and Taiyue city lord until both sides suffered heavy losses. Night Sorrow knew what happened next. I see. Then Supervisor Lan, I want to ask, in each region, is the King city lord the most powerful person? Night Sorrow asked. No, the situation is different in each region. The region lord is the true ruler. At present, only the southernly region has a region lord. The other 8 regions shouldn't have any region lords, or maybe it hasn't been announced. Lan Yuxuan thought for a moment and said. Why do some have it and some don't? Night Sorrow didn't understand. This involves a big problem. Let's put it this way. Our 9 regions world was broken into 9 regions and 18 prefectures after the ancient investiture of the gods. The world's origin was also broken into 9 pieces. Each region has a broken origin. Only by refining the origin can one become a region lord. Do you understand what this means? Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. If that's the case, then I understand. Yi Shang nodded. The city lord of the 9 kings city isn't necessarily a region lord, but a region lord is likely to be a city lord. This is probably the case. Lan Yuxuan said. If he has refined the origin source, then he must be very powerful. Isn't the Southly region the strongest of the 9 regions? Yang Lei asked in shock. Not necessarily. The domain lord of the Southly region appeared 200 years ago. At that time, he was still a nameless 3rd-rank cultivator. Later on, he went into seclusion. No one knows what his current situation is. Of course, with this factor, no one would dare to provoke the Southly region. Even if it's a broken source stone, it's still extraordinary. It's not in source stone, but a part of the 9-domain world's broken source bead, Lan Yuxuan said. This is a potential for development. With this deterrence, no one would dare to act recklessly. Sikong Chuyu opened her mouth and said. That's right, Sikong Chuyu said. Yes, that's it. Let's not talk about this. You guys should rest early. Tomorrow, we'll take the teleportation array and leave. However, there is still an area in between that we need to fly, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. Why aren't some teleportation arrays open? Night Sorrow felt helpless. He felt that it would be much easier to just teleport there directly. They are afraid of a domain war breaking out. The other party will snatch the teleportation array and rush to the core area to attack, so they need a buffer zone, Lan Yuxuan said. Can't our Eastern Xian region directly teleport to Waterfront City? They just lack magnanimity. Knight Sorrow snorted. He was very dissatisfied with the current situation. That's because the Wu Kei Lord is domineering. Basically, no one will go and cause trouble. The other regions can't do the same. A domain war can break out at any time, so everyone has to be on guard, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. After resting for a night, the four of them took the teleportation array to Taiyue region's Westliang City. Then, the four of them continued to fly to Taiyue region's West Sea City. That was the waterfront city of Taiyue region. It was also where the teleportation array to Qingtian region was located. It took 6 days for the four of them to reach West Sea City. After crossing the domain sea, we will reach Qingtian region, Lan Yuxuan said to Knight Sorrow and the others. But to reach the core area of Qingtian region, we still have to fly for a while, Sikong Chuyu said. I'm already used to it. In the past, it took me a few months to travel to the Far East icefield. After experiencing so much, my tolerance has increased, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Sitting in the teleportation array, the four of them arrived at Qingtian region's Easthua City. Alright, let's rest for a night. Tomorrow, we will continue our long journey, Lan Yuxuan said to the four of them. If Lan Yuxuan traveled by herself, the time would be much shorter. After all, the flying speed of a venerable was several times that of a rank 5 flying demonic beast. She had to accommodate Knight Sorrow and the others since she was carrying Knight Sorrow and the others. The four of them checked into an inn. Be careful. Jiyu clan's forces are everywhere in Qingtian region. We will be discovered if we're not careful. Sikong Chuyu said to Knight Sorrow. Then, where is the territory of your clan? Knight Sorrow asked. It's in the north of Beiling City, Sikong Chuyu said. Do you plan to go home this time? Knight Sorrow hesitated for a while and asked. I think I'd better not. It's too troublesome. Sikong Chuyu shook his head. Up to 3. I think so too. Knight Sorrow, you are now at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage. If you work hard and advance to the Venerable Realm, there won't be any problems. Lan Yuxuan looked at Knight Sorrow and said. She knew about the matter between Knight Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu. Then, I'll have to trouble you for a while more. When I improve my strength, it will be once and for all. The problem will be solved once and for all. Knight Sorrow clenched his fists and said. After chatting for a while, Lan Yuxuan went to another room to rest. Chuyu, now that we've returned to Qingtian region, do you have anything else to do? Knight Sorrow asked. I want to visit my grandfather. I don't want him to worry. Sikong Chuyu thought for a while and said. After we're done with our business, we'll make a trip there. Knight Sorrow nodded. When we see my grandfather, we'll ask him to bring the news to my parents. Then, my parents won't be worried, Sikong Chuyu said. Alright. We don't have anything to do at the headquarters of Tianji Tower. We just need to report our arrival and show our faces. After that, we'll head to Cloud Mist Mountain. Knight Sorrow could understand Sikong Chuyu's thoughts very well. After resting for a night, the four of them flew towards the core area of Qingtian region. They were going to East Park City to take the teleportation array. That way, they would be able to reach Qingtian City directly. Supervisor Lan, what do I need to do at the headquarters of Tianji Tower? Is it troublesome? Knight Sorrow asked. You just need to see the Chief Tower Master, the Elders, and the others. You'll be officially appointed as the Heaven's Fate Envoy. Of course, they might let you stay at the headquarters. It's up to you, Lan Yuxuan said. Supervisor Lan, you know that I'm going back to Eastern Xian region. I can't stay at the headquarters. Knight Sorrow shook his head and said. I understand. They're just suggesting. They won't force you. Besides, they'll respect Master Wu Kei's wishes, Lan Yuxuan said. That's good. I don't want to be restrained. It'll be uncomfortable. I want to move forward with my own thoughts. Night Sorrow breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 473. Genius 1 second. Remember, love divided by go divided by little. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. It seems that Auntie Fei is quite powerful. Love go little say net, Chusikong Chuyu said with a smile. Currently, Lord Wu Kei is still the deputy lord of Tianji Tower. Of course, Lord Wu Kei doesn't take this position seriously. Lan Yuxuan nodded. As long as Auntie Fei's intentions are effective, it's fine. Don't be forced to do something beyond your ability, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After resting for a night in Donghua City, Night Sorrow's group of 4 continued their journey to Dongyuan City. Once they arrived at Dongyuan City, they didn't need to fly anymore. They went directly to Qingtian City through the teleportation array. This time, it took them 5 days to reach East Garden City, and Lan Yuxuan brought the 3 of them into the city. Lan Yuxuan didn't take them to an inn. Instead, she brought them to a mansion. After instructing the servants not to let them enter the backyard, Lan Yuxuan took off her mask. I used to work in Dongyuan City, so I bought this mansion. I haven't been here for a long time. Sorry to trouble you, Supervisor Lan. Night Sorrow's group cupped their hands at Lan Yuxuan. After you take up the position, I will be your subordinate, so I have to establish a good relationship with you in advance, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Supervisor Lan, you must be joking. Night Sorrow shook his head. I'm not joking. The celestial emissary is actually the successor to several important positions in Tianji Tower. To put it simply, he is the young lord. Therefore, all the guardians, supervisors, and elders have to listen to his orders, Lan Yuxuan said seriously. Even if I become the celestial emissary, Supervisor Lan can just treat me as a decoration. I don't care about this, Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about this now. You guys have a good rest. Treat this place like your own home. Rest for 2 days and walk around Dongyuan City. We'll set off after that. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow's group of 3 and left. $7. Forever, CK little plus T. Night Sorrow and the others didn't reject Lan Yuxuan's good intentions. Moreover, if Lan Yuxuan had other things to do, it would be very awkward if they said that they didn't need to rest. No matter where it is, it's not as comfortable as our Qingxin cottage and Longhuan courtyard, Sikong Chuyu said. That's our territory. We can do whatever we want. It's the feeling of home. Staying in an inn or someone else's house, no matter how luxurious and luxurious it is, it doesn't have that comfortable feeling, Yang Lei said with a smile. Soon after, someone brought over food and wine. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. After the 3 of them finished eating, they went out on the street. Since they were already in East Park City, they might as well take a stroll. East Park City was also a first-rate city in the Qingtian region. East Park City was beautiful in the evening. Although it was not as prosperous as Dongxian City, it was still better than Danding City and Thunder City. Night Sorrow brought Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to a clothing store to buy a few sets of robes. After leaving the clothing store, Night Sorrow and the others strolled casually in front of a small street stall in front of the store. These stall owners were all cultivators. They took out resources that they didn't need to exchange for things that were suitable for them. Many cultivators did this. Night Sorrow used the clear void elixir to exchange for a lot of clear void herbs. 1 cauldron of clear void elixir could be exchanged for 3 cauldrons of ingredients, which was a good deal for Night Sorrow. This was also a good deal for cultivators who couldn't find an alchemy master. It was equivalent to a win-win situation. Knight Sorrow then used his spirit stones to buy 2 clear void herbs. Knight Sorrow didn't need these herbs, but the people of the Medicine Valley and the members of the Bloodstrike Guard did. The 3 of them continued to look ahead. If there were suitable materials, Knight Sorrow would sell them. After that, Knight Sorrow found a lightning attribute crystal. However, the price was very high. The exchange rate for high-grade spirit stones was 100, while the exchange rate for top-grade spirit stones was 1. This price was very high. One should know that one could buy a house in Dongxian City with 50 high-grade spirit stones. Such a price was also a little inappropriate. The exchange rate for spirit stones was 100. However, 100 high-grade spirit stones was definitely not enough to exchange for a top-grade spirit stone. A top-grade spirit stone was a very rare resource. The top-grade spirit stones in Knight Sorrow's possession were also the product of several great opportunities. The others might not have seen top-grade spirit stones before. Of course, if the price wasn't high, Knight Sorrow and the others wouldn't have had the chance to see the lightning attribute crystal either. The stall owner was a 6th void inquiry stage cultivator. He didn't really care if others bought it or not. Is an extreme void pill enough? Knight Sorrow did not want to use spirit stones. If he ran out of pills, he could still refine them. Besides, to him, level 5 pills were already redundant. However, high-grade spirit stones and top-grade spirit stones were very valuable. Both venerables and saints could use them. I only need 1 extreme void pill. The difference in value is too big. There's no way to negotiate. The black-robed man said. How about the clear void pill? Knight Sorrow asked. He noticed that when he mentioned the extreme void pill, the corner of the stall owner's eyes twitched a little. 50 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for a lightning attribute crystal. After thinking for a while, the man said. 100 clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill in exchange for the 2 lightning attribute crystals here. Knight Sorrow stated his intention. This isn't appropriate. The stall owner shook his head. Knight Sorrow did not say anything and directly walked forward. He felt that this man was raising the price on the spot. The price he offered was already not low. All right. Don't go. It's your turn. Seeing Knight Sorrow walking away, the stall owner shouted. There are 20 pills in this bottle. After Knight Sorrow turned around, he took out 5 bottles of clear void pills and 1 extreme void pill and handed them to the stall owner. Then, he took the lightning attribute crystal from the stall owner who had finished inspecting the pills. Glancing at the lightning attribute crystal, Knight Sorrow directly left Yonglei and continued to move forward. We've made a profit. Although the pills are precious, we can still get them. However, the lightning attribute crystal is very rare. Sikong Chuyu said. Why would he do something like this? He didn't want to exchange just now. Yonglei glanced at Knight Sorrow and said. She was obviously a little unhappy. Ninth senior sister, I know that he will definitely exchange. Don't cultivators need resources? Besides, if he doesn't agree, I will walk a few steps back and agree to the exchange. Will I give up the resources that ninth senior sister needs for a pill? Knight Sorrow said with a wry smile. All right. I misunderstood you. Yonglei said while holding Knight Sorrow's arm. We don't lack resources and spirit stones, but we can't let others take advantage of us. Well, let's continue to search for treasures. There are really some good things here. Knight Sorrow said while patting Yonglei's hand that was holding his arm. Then, the 3 of them continued to stroll around. When they came to an old man's stall, Knight Sorrow's footsteps stopped again. Senior, how much is this clear void pill? Night Sorrow squatted down and asked. 20 top-grade crystal stones for a bottle, 10 pills for a bottle. The old man said. This price is not bad. Then give me a bottle. What kind of stone is this? Night Sorrow pointed to 2 cyan stones on the side of the stall and asked. I don't know. I got it in an ancient ruin. I almost died there. I don't know what material it is, but it is incomparably hard. If you want it, it will be 20 top-grade spirit stones. Although I don't know what material it is definitely worth the price. The old man said. Chapter 474. A genius remembers love in 1 second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. At first, Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu didn't understand why Night Sorrow wanted to ask about medicinal pills. Both of them knew that Night Sorrow had a lot of clear void pills and great void pills. He also had a lot of materials that he hadn't refined yet, so it was impossible for him to be interested in pills. Seeing Night Sorrow ask about the stones, the 2 girls understood that Night Sorrow's real goal was the 2 cyan stones. Don't you think it's inappropriate for you to ask for 20 upper-level spirit stones for materials that you don't know the value of? Yang Lei asked. U5 forever HJ forever HK phi C small MB say /4" perhaps. This stone may not have much value, but I almost lost my life in that adventure. Just based on that, it's worth this price in my heart, the old man said. All right. Buy it. Go back and study it to see what it is. Yishang took out 40 high-grade spirit stones and gave them to the old man. Then, the old man gave a bottle of clear void pills and 2 stones to Night Sorrow. After putting away the clear void pill and the cyan stone, Night Sorrow continued to lead the 2 women forward. Night Sorrow, what's that? Sikong Chiyu asked after they were some distance away from the old man's stall. A great opportunity, or rather, a great opportunity for both of you. Let's talk about it when we return to the inn. Yishan scanned the surroundings and then said, let's go, Yishan said as he scanned the surroundings. Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow was not someone who liked to exaggerate. If he said that it was a great opportunity, then it must be a very precious treasure. Following that, the 3 of them continued to stroll around the street stall. However, it would appear that their luck had run out. After failing to find anything else, the 3 of them returned to the inn. Hurry up and tell us what that is. Yang Lei shook Night Sorrow's arm and said. Void Dao Stone, a top-notch medium for condensing clones. It can even be said that its value is comparable to source stones. I originally had 1, but today I got 2 more. The problem of condensing clones in the future has been solved, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Void Dao Stone. It's actually the legendary Void Dao Stone. Void Dao Stone is the best medium for condensing soul clones. However, it's hard to say if 9th senior sister and I can condense clones. The prerequisite for condensing clones is that your soul power is strong. If your soul power is not strong enough and you split a part of it, the consequences, Sikong Chiyu said. This thing is a good treasure. If you need it, come and get it from me. Today's luck is really good. Night Sorrow was more excited. One of the Void Dao stones that Night Sorrow had obtained today was relatively large, while the other was relatively small. The larger one was 3 times larger than Wu Lingfei's Void Dao stone orb, and the smaller one was similar to the one he had obtained before. It was about the same size as the one Wu Lingfei had used. Today, I'll stick it all to you. These 2 thunder attribute crystal stones can increase my attribute power. Let's not talk about how much my cultivation will increase, but if my main attribute power increases, my fighting strength will increase. Yang Lei was more excited. Hee, it's good that it's helpful. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was happy for Yang Lei. Ninth senior sister, did you notice that our family's Night Sorrow is very smart? He knew that the Void Tao stone was the main point, but he still opened his mouth to buy pills. This move is very beautiful. Sikong Chuyu smiled as he looked at Night Sorrow. Indeed, if we directly ask the stone, the old man will pay attention. It's possible that he will raise the price, and there will also be other variables. This way, it will be solved easily. Yang Lei nodded. She also agreed with Night Sorrow's method. In the future, we have to walk around more. Who knows, we might be able to meet someone who sells water attribute crystal stones and nothingness attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow said. Don't even think about it. There are a lot of water attribute cultivators, so water attribute crystal stones are definitely in short supply. As for nothingness attribute crystal stones, you dare to think about it? Without nothingness energy as a foundation, how can it produce nothingness crystal stones? You should refine that thing and go to the void fiendish space to look for it. Sikong Chuyu said to attack Night Sorrow. Alright. Then can I go look for other attributes? I can use ice attribute crystal stones and space attribute crystal stones. Night Sorrow retorted with a smile. You're awesome. Sikong Chuyu gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Rest. Chuyu, why don't the three of us sleep together? Yang Lei asked Sikong Chuyu with a smile. I still care about my face. Do you still want to see me tomorrow? Sikong Chuyu rolled his eyes at Yang Lei. This is between the three of us. Others don't know. What's there to be afraid of? 13. Ninth senior sister will help you massage. You do it. Yang Lei hugged Sikong Chuyu's shoulders and pressed Sikong Chuyu onto the bed. Ninth senior sister, this is someone else's house. The Venerable One's soul power is very strong. He will find out. If we want to cause trouble, we will do it at home. Night Sorrow reached out to help Sikong Chuyu up. You only know how to bully me. Sikong Chuyu, who was pulled up by Night Sorrow, directly pressed down on Yang Lei's body. Two jade hands were kneading Yang Lei's breasts. Don't move. That's 13th. Yang Lei turned over and pressed Sikong Chuyu down. Night Sorrow was helpless, but he was also happy. This proved that the two of them had a good relationship. After fooling around for a while, the two girls stopped. Their faces were red as they tidied up their skirts. Chuyu, I'm not joking. I can't handle him alone. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow had finished cultivating the outer chapter of the Myriad Taoist tome. His ability in that area had become much stronger. Every time they were together, the two girls would have a hard time. We'll talk about it when we get home. Sikong Chuyu didn't refute this time. Then the three of them sat down to cultivate. Time was squeezed out. Only by putting all their time and energy into cultivation would they have any achievements. The next day, the three of them continued to walk the streets, but they didn't gain anything. Night Sorrow knew that it was impossible for good things to happen when they went out. He should be satisfied with obtaining the Phantom Tao stone. After resting for 2 days, Lan Yuxuan took the three of them to the Sky-bearing region's capital, Sky-bearing City. After exiting the teleportation array, the four of them rode Tianyu and the dark-feathered eagle under Lan Yuxuan's guidance. In the sky, Night Sorrow and the others saw a tall pagoda that reached into the clouds. The tip of the pagoda emitted light that rippled in all directions. That's the symbol of the sky-bearing region, the Xiantian Tower. If you have time, you can go and challenge it. If you reach a high level, the rewards will be great. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow and the others. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked, who's the owner of the Xiantian Tower? I've never heard of an owner. It's owned by the City Lord's mansion. Some spirit treasures are very difficult to control because the artifact spirit doesn't recognize them. It's hard to say what level the Shintian Tower is at right now. It has existed for countless years and might have evolved, so it's not that easy to become its owner. Even the city lord of the royal city can't do it. Lan Yuxuan said. It's the strongest spirit treasure of the sky-bearing region and the symbol of the sky-bearing region. Sikong Chuyu said. Then if we just leave it like this, aren't we afraid that someone will recognize it as its owner and move it away? Yang Lei said. It's not that easy. Countless people have tried to challenge the tower over the years, but no one has been recognized by the Shintian Tower. Besides, there are so many elders guarding it. If anyone wants to move it away, it's no different from poking a hornet's nest. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. Chapter 475. A genius remembers love in 1 second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Knight Sorrow looked at the Shintian Tower and pondered. The Shintian Tower was truly domineering and pierced through the clouds. It was ancient and fragrant. He, why are you interested? Lan Yuxuan looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. I'm interested. I'll give it a try when I have time, Knight Sorrow said. Okay, let's go to Tianji Tower's headquarters now. Remember, the matters of the Tianji Tower's headquarters cannot be leaked, Lan Yuxuan said to Knight Sorrow and the others. We will, Knight Sorrow said. After a while, they arrived in front of an ancient and majestic pavilion. This place is called the Celestial Peak Pavilion. We don't deal with outsiders. You can say that if you don't have a Tianji Tower token on you, you will be mercilessly killed by the array formation inside the Celestial Peak Pavilion. Keep your tokens on you, don't put them in your storage rings. Lan Yuxuan stood in front of the pavilion and said. So terrifying. Knight Sorrow said with some surprise. At the same time, he took out his ID card and placed it in his bosom. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu did the same. Of course, what is this place? It's the headquarters of our Tianji Tower, Lan Yuxuan said. I feel that it's even more domineering than the City Lord's mansion. When I passed by the City Lord's mansion just now, I didn't feel that way. Yang Lei spoke out her inner feelings. You're right, Yang Lei spoke out her inner feelings. Our Tianji Tower might not be as influential as the royal city's City Lord Manor, but that's because our forces are scattered. If our Tianji Tower's forces are concentrated in a single region, it would be easy for us to slaughter a royal city. Take the Eastern Profound Region's branch palace as an example. Mistress Wu Kei alone can suppress an entire region. As she spoke, Lan Yuxuan brought the 4 of them into the pavilion. Indeed, Tianji Tower is scattered in the 9 regions and 18 states. If all the branches are gathered together, their strength is indeed difficult to estimate, Knight Sorrow said after thinking for a while. However, the City Lord's mansion's strength can't be estimated simply. The City Lord's mansion is a top force in a region. Fighting with the City Lord's mansion means starting a war with a region. The consequences are also very serious. Lan Yuxuan led the group into the pavilion's lobby. The people in the lobby were all members of Tianji Tower wearing bronze masks. Lan Yuxuan led them through the main hall of the pavilion and arrived at the backyard. Why are there so many patrols? Yi Shan muttered when they reached the backyard of the main building. No. They aren't patrollers. Patrollers are selected from various forces. These are the death warriors nurtured by the Heaven's Extreme Tower. The Bronze Palace warriors are only responsible for fighting. They fight to protect the glory of the Heaven's Extreme Tower. Lan Yuxuan explained. Then why are we allowed to go in and out? Yang Lei asked, puzzled. When we entered the pavilion, the array didn't attack us. This means that we have a token and are the core members of Tianji Tower. Also, are the masks on our faces fake? Lan Yuxuan said helplessly. Lan Yuxuan then led the three of them into a small courtyard. This is my resting and cultivation place. Just as Lan Yuxuan was speaking, two maids came over and bowed. Serve these lords well. Yang Lei and Chu, you don't need to wear masks here. They are all trained by Tianji Tower and are absolutely loyal. Lan Yuxuan took off her mask and said. Then the few of them took off their masks and drank the tea served by the maids. The two of you can rest here first. When Night Sorrow is officially appointed as the Celestial Oracle, you don't have to stay here because the higher-ups will arrange a residence for you. Lan Yuxuan took a sip of tea and said. That's not important. I'll have to trouble Inspector Lan. Sikong Chuyu cupped his hands towards Lan Yuxuan. Their problem also needs to be solved. After entering the Fifth Order, it's not an ordinary inspection. The headquarters will make arrangements for this. However, your matter is more important, so I have to make arrangements first. I still have to be a good guide. Lan Yuxuan finished her tea and stood up, saying to Night Sorrow. We're going to meet someone. Night Sorrow also stood up. Yes. Come with me to meet the real higher-ups. Put on your mask first. Lan Yuxuan said and put on her mask. Night Sorrow nodded to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu, put on his mask, and then looked at Lan Yuxuan. We can go now. Under Lan Yuxuan's lead, Night Sorrow and her entered the back pavilion of the Celestial Oracle Pavilion. Lan Yuxuan took out her token from time to time and showed it to the palace guard. Then, the two went down the stairs and went underground. At this time, the palace guard was already wearing a silver mask. At this time, Night Sorrow also needed to show his token. Without it, he would have to stop. Seeing Night Sorrow's white token with a flame, the palace guard let them go. Night Sorrow followed Lan Yuxuan to an underground hall. There was a teleportation array in the underground hall, and a man with a golden mask stood in front of it. Night Sorrow, take off your mask. After coming here, you can't wear a mask anymore. Lord Tianqing, this is Night Sorrow who passed the Celestial Oracle 5 stars assessment. I'm going to take him to the Dark Tower. Lan Yuxuan said to the man with the golden mask after taking off her mask. Okay. He has a token. His identity has been confirmed, so you can teleport. Inspector Lan, please. After glancing at Night Sorrow's token, the man with the golden mask took a step back. Night Sorrow nodded slightly. He knew that this was Tianji Tower's Golden Palace Guard, the core force. However, he also noticed the difference in the mask. Whether it was an inspector, a protector, or a supervisor, their masks had patterns on them. However, the masks of these palace guards were shiny without any patterns. As the Golden Palace Guard called Tianqing stepped back, Lan Yuxuan took Night Sorrow and stepped into the teleportation array. Then, she picked up the crystal placed on the side and inserted it into the card slot to teleport. After a moment of absent-mindedness, Lan Yuxuan and Yisheng arrived at a special location. There was a teleportation array beneath their feet, and they were surrounded by a lush ancient forest. Not far away, there was an incomparably grand hall. At this time, there was a golden palace guard outside the teleportation array. Lord Jinhue, this is the person the chief wants to see. Lan Yuxuan said to the woman with the golden mask. Go. The woman with the golden mask nodded after glancing at the token in Night Sorrow's hand. Night Sorrow, this is the real core area of Tianji Tower, the Dark Tower. The chief, the law enforcement elders, and the protector elders are all here. Tianji Tower's highest order is also issued from here. Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. I understand. It's almost impossible for this place to be captured. Night Sorrow said. See latest chapter section above 0T, yes. When entering the teleportation array in the underground palace, you can't wear a mask. Those who can enter the Dark Tower are limited to some of the higher-ups. Lord Tianqing can confirm your identity 100%. It's impossible for anyone to sneak in. Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. It's an ancient inheritance. There is indeed a set of strict rules and methods. Knight Sorrow nodded. Chapter 476. A genius remembers love in 1 second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. So strict? Knight Sorrow asked in surprise. Of course, what is this place? It's the core of Tianji Tower. I've just obtained the qualifications to enter this place, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. I understand. Then, under Lan Yuxuan's lead, the two entered the main hall. There were 2 old men meditating in the main hall. When they saw Lan Yuxuan and Knight Sorrow arrive, they opened their eyes. Yu Xian, is this the Knight Sorrow who passed the Heavenly Fate assessment? An old man wearing a blue robe asked. Yes, elderly Knight Sorrow, let me introduce you. This is the guardian elder of Tianji Tower, elderly, and this is the law-enforcing elder, Elder Hua, Lan Yuxuan introduced. Yi Shang greets the 2 elders. Yi Shang bowed in greeting. It has been less than 3 years since you entered the Purple Light Realm. You are already at the 4th level of the Void Inquiry stage and your essence chi is more than 10 zhang asterisk, 3. 33 m per zhang. Good. Very good. Elderly looked at Knight Sorrow and said good twice in a low voice. It was obvious that he was very emotional. According to the records, Knight Sorrow has only been cultivating for 3 years. Men, go and inform the Chief K-Master, the Chief Supervisor, and the Chief Protector to come here. Elder Hua, whose beard was like steel needles, shouted behind him. Then, a figure wearing a pitch-black mask appeared and left the hall. Sit anywhere you want. You don't have to be reserved. With a wave of his arm, Elderly kept the futon and sat down on a chair by the side. Then, he pointed to a chair beside him and said to Knight Sorrow. J the only %positive S hashtag version, it's th all VW is D asterisk steel C version Lu, thank you, elderly. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands and found a seat. Then, this subordinate will take her leave. Lan Yuxuan bowed and said. There's no need. I need you to convey something later. Elder He waved his hand and stopped Lan Yuxuan from leaving. Knight Sorrow, is Mistress Wu Kei doing well? Elderly asked. Everything is fine. Thank you for your concern, Elder. Knight Sorrow stood up and said. Sit down. You're the most outstanding member that Tianji Tower has discovered in hundreds of years. I'm very happy, Elderly said while stroking his long beard. Just as they were talking, 3 people walked in through the door. The middle-aged man in the lead was wearing a brocade robe, while the other 2 were wearing gray robes. Greetings, K-Master. Elderly, Elder Hua, and Lan Yuxuan all bowed. Knight Sorrow also stood up and cupped his hands. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. Xiaom nodding his head, the middle-aged man sat down on the main seat. The other 2 also sat down beside Elderly and Elder Hua. Not bad at all. Seeing you, I can see the future of Tianji Tower. Let me introduce myself to you. I'm Lin Yuandao, the current K-Master of Tianji Tower. Lin Yuandao introduced himself to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow greets K-Master. Knight Sorrow bowed to Lin Yuandao. No need to be so polite. Everyone, introduce yourselves. Lin Yuandao said. Elderly stood up and introduced his position and name. Guardian Elder Latrin Swan. Elder Hua stood up and introduced himself. Law Enforcement Elder Hua Haining. Chief Protector's name, Li Chong Tian. Chief Supervisor Elder Li Chong Tian. Night Sorrow, you've completed your 5 stars assessment, so there are some procedures you need to go through. Elderly, please announce the absolute core of Tianji Tower, the rules you need to abide by, and the obligations you need to fulfill for Tianji Tower. Lin Yuandao said to Lutrin Swan. Lutrin Swan stood up and read out the rules of Tianji Tower. The first rule was that Tianji Tower's interests were paramount, and they were not allowed to betray Tianji Tower. The other rules were that they were not allowed to kill non-cultivators, they were not allowed to commit crimes, and they were not allowed to commit crimes. It was similar to the rules of a sect. Night Sorrow can do these, but I hope you won't restrict my freedom, Night Sorrow said after listening to Lutrin Swan read out the rules. There are no restrictions, but when Tianji Tower is in danger, you must step forward bravely. You can't just sit back and do nothing, Lin Yuandao said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow can do it. I'll remember that I'm a member of Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow said with a bow. That's right. Remember that you're a member of Tianji Tower. This is the core topic. Since there are no problems, from today onwards, you're a Tianji envoy of Tianji Tower. Give me your token. Lin Yuandao stretched out his hand to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out his token and handed it to Lin Yuandao. After receiving Night Sorrow's token, Lin Yuandao took out his own golden token and combined it with Night Sorrow's token. Then, both tokens lit up. Lin Yuandao then returned the token to Night Sorrow. The token has been activated and can be used officially. You can go anywhere in Tianji Tower without any hindrance. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. In the future, if you have any problems, just tell me, the 2 elders, the Chief Protector, and the Chief Supervisor. In addition, Supervisor Lon, you'll be in charge of Night Sorrow's situation from now on. If he doesn't understand, you can help him pass on a message to us. You can also introduce some people you don't know to us, Lin Yuandao said to Lon Yushuan. This subordinate understands. Lon Yushuan said with a bow. You understand the position and mission of a Tianji envoy. In the future, put down other things in your hands and be in charge of Night Sorrow's matters, Lin Yuandao emphasized to Lon Yushuan again. Lon Yushuan obeyed again. It could be said that she was Night Sorrow's personal subordinate from now on. Night Sorrow, later on, have Chief Supervisor Guo arrange a residence for you. You can stay in Sky-bearing City and cultivate, Lin Yuandao said to Night Sorrow. At this moment, Li Changtian's body shook and he swayed in his chair before stabilizing. What is it? Night Sorrow bowed to Li Changtian. He knew what was going on. The chief supervisor had been sizing him up and then used his soul power to investigate, which caused a backlash from the heavenly fate pearl. What's wrong? Lin Yuandao stood up. This subordinate saw his blood and qi surging and essence qi rising to the top of his head, so I investigated and received a backlash, Li Changtian said awkwardly. Then it's fine. Chief Supervisor Guo will arrange a residence for Night Sorrow. Lin Yuandao continued the previous topic. Lord K, I will be leaving Sky-bearing City later on. I don't need a residence. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Lutrin Swan stood up anxiously. How can that be? You are a Tianji envoy. Our Tianji Tower only has 2 Tianji envoys. How can you leave Sky-bearing City? Elderly, Night Sorrow is a member of Tianji Tower no matter where he goes. He won't give up on his dream of becoming an expert. The main thing is that the Eastern Xian region is in chaos right now. My Aunt Fei wants me to return first, Night Sorrow said. Who is Aunt Fei? You are a Tianji envoy of Tianji Tower. No one can dictate your path, Lin Yuandao said with a frown. Chapter 477. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little. I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. It seems that Tower Master Wu Kei has made arrangements. Then I won't interfere in this matter. However, a residence is still necessary. The Heaven's Fate emissaries need a place to stay in the headquarters. Love go little say, Chulin Yuandao thought for a moment and said. Then he handed Lan Yuxuan a round token. Supervisor Lan, arrange the 9th courtyard for Night Sorrow. This subordinate understands. Lan Yuxuan bowed and took the token. Seniors, please continue with your work. Night Sorrow will take his leave. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said. Go. If you have any problems, come find us here. You can also come if you don't have anything to do, Lutrin Swan said. Yi Shang nodded, bowed once more, and left the hall. Lan Yuxuan bowed to the 5 people in the hall and then followed Night Sorrow out of the hall. Supervisor Lan, these 5 are the absolute upper echelons of Tianji Tower, right? Night Sorrow asked as they walked. Yes, there are also 2 vice tower masters. Tower Master Wu Kei is one, and the other is a branch master of another region. They aren't in Qingtian City. In fact, Tianji Tower is one of the 7 giants, Lan Yuxuan said. Love go little say, Chu, in the future, I may trouble Supervisor Lan with my matters. I hope Supervisor Lan will be more understanding, Yi Shang said. Don't say that, sir. This is what this subordinate should do, Lan Yuxuan said. Hearing Lan Yuxuan's words, Yi Shang was stunned and stopped in his tracks. Was this the change in status? He suddenly felt unfamiliar with Lan Yuxuan. Supervisor Lan, if you don't mind, you can call me Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow looked at Lan Yuxuan and said. Alright, calling you sir is indeed unfamiliar, but if you call me by name, the higher-ups will say something. Lan Yuxuan turned around and looked in the direction of the hole. Don't worry, this is what I want. Let's go. Night Sorrow said with a wave of his hand. Once again arriving in front of the transmission array, Lan Yuxuan cupped her hands towards the woman wearing a golden mask. Lady Jinyu, Lady Night Sorrow has officially been appointed as the Celestial Extremity Envoy. Please let her pass in the future. Subordinate Jinyu greets Lord Heaven's Extremity Emissary. Jinyu cupped her hands at Night Sorrow. Her cultivation was high, but she was only a golden palace guard. She had no position, so she was naturally a subordinate. Senior Jinyu is too polite. I, Night Sorrow, am not worthy of such praise. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Gold Moon nodded to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and Lan Yuxuan took the transmission array and left Celestial Extreme Dark Tower, arriving at Celestial Extreme Pavilion's underground Great Hall. Following which, Lan Yuxuan introduced Night Sorrow's identity to Heavenly Star. This was to make it easier for Night Sorrow to pass through in the future. Heavenly Star was a bit slow and wanted to check Night Sorrow's token. Night Sorrow knew that this was a responsible attitude, so he didn't mind and directly gave the token to Heavenly Star for inspection. After inspecting the token, Heavenly Star bowed to Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow and Lan Yuxuan then returned to the courtyard where she was resting. Lan Yuxuan said to Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Night Sorrow, who had just come out of the courtyard, this small courtyard is where the inspectors and enforcers rest. In addition, our Tianji Tower has an exclusive area in Qingtian City. Your residence is there. Let's go. Then let's go. Night Sorrow nodded. As they walked, Lan Yuxuan introduced the Celestial Extreme Pavilion situation. The Celestial Extreme Pavilion was the area where the inspectors, enforcers, and inspectors of Tianji Tower worked. The security level was very high, and it was completely different from the branch where missions were received and issued. Love go little say Netko. After exiting the celestial extreme pavilion, the four of them flew on their flying demon beasts for 15 minutes before arriving at an orderly residence area. Lan Yuxuan let Night Sorrow and Yang Lei control Tianyu and the dark feathered eagle to land. This area is Tianji Tower's territory. Without a Tianji Tower token, you can't enter this area. At the same time, it's also a no-fly zone. If a flying demon beast appears, it will be killed. In the future, don't fly in this area, Lan Yuxuan said to Night Sorrow. After entering the main street, the four of them were stopped. The leader was a silver-masked silver palace guard. Night Sorrow took out his token while Lan Yuxuan took out the round token that Guo Xiao had given her. The silver-masked guard bowed in greeting, then checked Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu's tokens before letting them go. At the same time, two bronze palace guards led the way. This area was different from other areas. It didn't have the hustle and bustle of the downtown area. Both sides of the street were filled with lush green ancient trees. This is the area where the core members of Tianji Tower live. In the middle are the residences of several big shots. The surrounding areas are the residences of some members with higher status, Lan Yuxuan said as she led the way. Then, the group arrived in front of an elegant residence. Original C version 9 First U, this is residence number 9. Sir, you may enter. One of the bronze palace guards said. Night Sorrow nodded and led Lan Yuxuan, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu into the residence. The two bronze palace guards became the guards. There were 4 maidservants in the residence. Lan Yuxuan took out the residence token and announced that Night Sorrow was the owner of the residence. Seeing the token, the maidservants bowed in greeting. Night Sorrow, this place is absolutely safe. They are all trained by the Tianji Tower base. Like the palace guards, there is no problem with their loyalty, Lan Yuxuan said. Fortunately, at least there is a place to stay. Night Sorrow smiled and was about to make tea, but a maidservant bowed and took the initiative to make tea. This place is very secretive. Every courtyard has a formation around it that can prevent detection, Lan Yuxuan said as she took the teacup from the maidservant. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Lan Yuxuan was a shrewd person and knew what he was thinking. He was worried about this problem. If they were monitored, it would be uncomfortable to live there. Then where does Supervisor Lan live? Do you need to leave a room? Yang Lei asked. That's not necessary. I also live in this area. I live in residence number 21, Lan Yuxuan said with a smile. In this area, the residences were numbered closer to the front, and the residences were numbered closer to the back. After staying for a while, Lan Yuxuan left. After sending Lan Yuxuan off, Night Sorrow told Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu about his appointment as the celestial terminus emissary and the attitude of the leaders. Very good. Things are perfect. We won't restrict your freedom, so you can do whatever you want. As for killing ordinary people, we won't do it. You have the two of us, we won't do it, Yang Lei said with a smile. Watching Night Sorrow rise step by step, Yang Lei was very happy. She was even happier than her own achievements. Night Sorrow, you may not know the significance of the celestial terminus emissary. That is the successor of Tianji Tower. What kind of power is Tianji Tower? All the city lord mansions of the 9 regions and 18 states have to give them face, Sikong Chuyu said. But I don't like the fact that the city lord mansions of King City and Tianji Tower have a good relationship, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 478. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Could it be that there are conflicts between the City Lord's office and Tianji Tower? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Of course. Eastern Xian region is completely under Aunt Fei's control, so there are no conflicts. It's not like this in other regions. Conflicts are common, but no one would easily touch the interests of Tianji Tower. The main reason is that Tianji Tower is very self-disciplined, Sikong Chuyu said. That's indeed the case. If Tianji Tower is ambitious, they can gather the forces of the 9 regions and easily sweep through a region. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment. When Yishang saw the 5 giants of the celestial extreme tower, he felt that they were all experts. Tian Xing and Jin Yu were both venerables. In addition, he could tell from Lan Yushuan's residence in mansion number 21 that there were 20 people above her. Excluding the 2 celestial emissaries who might be of lower cultivation, there were at least 18 powerful venerables above them. What kind of strength was this? A sect with venerables in eastern Xian region could be called a superpower. However, such a superpower could be easily crushed in the eyes of Tianji Tower. The concept of development is different. Tianji Tower's development is based on people, not on fighting for territory. This concept is very good, Yang Lei said. Love go little say W. Chu, therefore, the forces of the 9 regions royal city can only watch and ignore the development of Tianji Tower. It's not a threat to them. In addition, Tianji Tower doesn't want to have a war, mainly because Tianji Tower's members come from the 9 regions and 18 states. If there is a war, it will also hurt their own members, Sikong Chuyu said. I prefer the philosophy of Tianji Tower. Besides, it's not selfish. It's just like how they are willing to lend a helping hand when our eastern Xian region is in trouble. This is a kind of comradeship, Knight Sorrow said. Yes, and Knight Sorrow, your safety is no longer a problem. If you have a conflict with the GU family, they can kill you, but they can only send out 5th-grade cultivators. If they send venerables to kill you, they won't be able to bear the consequences unless they are exposed, said Sikong Chuyu. I understand. What if GU's family members also work in the Celestial Terminus Tower? Yi Shang asked. That's cruel. Values determine everything, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Comparing values. If anyone can defeat you, this celestial extremity, I will laugh. Yang Lei put her arm around Knight Sorrow's shoulder and said. Not bad. Knight Sorrow nodded with satisfaction. I think so too. Although we can't do whatever we want, GU's family is the same. We're on the same starting line, Sikong Chuyu said. That's enough. We have a way to cultivate the power of the soul. It's only a matter of time before 13 becomes a venerable. GU's family can just wait. Yang Lei was angry when she thought of Father Gu's arm being cut off. She knew that this was also a knot in Knight Sorrow's heart. Chuyu, wait for me for a while. Things will be solved, Knight Sorrow said. I understand. There's no hurry. It's fine now, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. It's really good. The people and matters of the Empyrean Terminus Tower are the same as I am. I don't want to bring any trouble to the Empyrean Terminus Tower. It's best to rely on yourself. It's best to grasp things in your hands. Strength. I need strength, Knight Sorrow said. Let's go out tomorrow and take a look at Xiantian Tower when it's convenient, Yang Lei said. Alright, but we still need to be careful. Most of the power in Qingtian City is controlled by GU's family. City Lord GU Fenglan is a member of GU's family, Sikong Chuyu said. So what? They owe me, Knight Sorrow said coldly. 13. GU's family asked the assassination hall to kill you. They already see you as a thorn in their side, so there's nothing wrong with being careful. What you need is time, Yang Lei comforted the angry Knight Sorrow. I get angry when they're mentioned, but I'll calm down, Knight Sorrow said apologetically to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. Then let's take a look at this mansion. Sikong Chuyu changed the topic. She knew that GU's family was a thorn in Knight Sorrow's heart. Night sorrow would easily explode if they were mentioned. Mansion number 9 occupied a large area. It was a courtyard with 2 courtyards. The front was where the gatekeeper and servant girls lived, the back was the main building, and the side was the hall. In the middle of the courtyard was a small garden and a training ground. The design was very reasonable. Not bad, Sikong Chuyu said as he looked around. I've realized that 13, you can get along well wherever you go. After leaving Pill Cauldron Mountain, you got the Dragon Spring Courtyard, you bought the Tranquil Heart Cottage in Dongxian City, and now you have a mansion here, Yang Lei said with a smile. This place is different from the Dragon Spring Courtyard and the Tranquil Heart Cottage. Those are ours, and this is just a place to live. It can't be considered ours, Night Sorrow said. Sir, you're overthinking. As long as you're a member of Tianji Tower, this is your mansion. It's just that you can't sell it, the servant girl who brought tea said. You can't sell it. Night Sorrow looked at the servant girl and asked. No, Tianji Tower doesn't have such a precedent. I know a little about mansions. Mansions are lifelong, just like mansion number 2 and mansion number 3. The owners never live there, but the ownership is still in the hands of their owners. In other words, unless you give it up yourself, or you betray Tianji Tower, this mansion will always belong to you. In addition, you can't receive guests who aren't members of Tianji Tower, the servant girl said with a bow. I see. Then I understand. What's your name? Night Sorrow asked. I'm Kei Xiang. I'm currently the manager of this mansion, Kei Xiang said with a bow. Then you'll have to worry about the mansion in the future. Here are some mid-grade crystal stones. You can use them to maintain the mansion's expenses. Night Sorrow took out a storage belt and put some mid-grade crystal stones into it. No need. Tianji Tower has already arranged all the expenses for the mansion, Kei Xiang said with a shake of her head. Okay. If there's any problem, just let me know, Night Sorrow said as he took back the storage belt. Yes. Sir, I'll leave you to it. Kei Xiang bowed and left. The servant girls trained by Tianji Tower are also very good. Although they're humble, they're not overcautious, Sikong Chuyu said as he looked at the direction where Kei Xiang left. That's not important. Let's look at the residence. Let's take a look at the main building first. Night Sorrow led the 2 girls into the main building. Night Sorrow didn't know that after he left the Empyrean Tower, several leaders of Tianji Tower were talking. The core of the conversation was Night Sorrow. The only genuine J, his DP coup is / stealing S edition EP. Chapter 479. A genius remembers love in 1 second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. I don't know. When I probed his spirit sea, I was hit by a strong backlash. It was just a light probe, so the backlash wasn't very strong. Li Changtian said. He didn't have any reaction at that time. In other words, it wasn't his own will. He doesn't have the ability to do so. It's a treasure that automatically protects its owner. It protected his spirit sea. That's incredible. Lin Yuandao said. This little guy almost made me suffer a great loss. Li Zhangtian rubbed his forehead and said. You too. You even probed him deeply. Didn't you suffer a loss? Le Trin Swan said with a smile. I saw that his true qi was condensed and there was no problem with his true qi cultivation. That's why I probed his spirit sea. Who knew that it would turn out like this? Li Changtian said in a slightly depressed tone. The condition of his body is the most peculiar part. His qi and blood are surging and his essence qi is more than 10 zhang * 3. 33 m per zhang, high. Think about it. Hua Haining shared his feelings about night sorrow. That's right. According to the information confirmed by Lan Yuxuan, Guan Yun and Ling Jian, night sorrow is less than 20 years old this year. His true qi cultivation is at the 4th level of the void inquiry stage. This is already an incredible achievement. Besides, he has also cultivated his body to such a level. This is one of a kind. If there is no flaw in his soul, he will certainly have great achievements in the future. Lin Yuandao said. Our Tianji Tower will have a successor in the future. Le Trin Xuan said excitedly. That's right. We have all read his information. From the process of his rise, there is no flaw in his moral character and temperament. He values friendship and righteousness. Moreover, he is not greedy. He has a very strong moral integrity. Lin Yuandao commented on night sorrow. But this is also the biggest problem. He has his own principles. There is no desire for power in his heart. Therefore, it is very difficult for him to have a true sense of belonging. Li Changtian said. This is a problem, but it is also a good sign. Once he has a sense of belonging, he won't have to worry about anything anymore. Look at how he stayed in the Medicine Valley. Why are you fighting for the Eastern Xian region? If he approves of Tianji Tower, then what he can do for Medicine Valley and Eastern Xian region, he can also do for Tianjin Tower, Lin Daoyuan said. Let's not take the path of benefits. We need to communicate with him honestly. If this goes on, it's only a matter of time before we feel a sense of belonging. Hua Haining expressed his opinion. Furthermore, with our relationship with Master Wu Kei, none of these problems will be a problem, Lin Yuandao said with a smile. That's right. When I have time, I want to see Master Wu Quebec. We haven't seen each other for many years. Back then, we arrived late. I hope Mistress Wu doesn't have any misunderstandings in her heart. Hua Haining sighed and said. That's my problem, but Mistress Wu Kei shouldn't mind. If she did, night sorrow wouldn't have come to the Qingtian region. This time, I need to make this trip. There are some things that need to be said. It can't be left unsaid, Lin Yuandao exhaled and said. It's a bit far. Let's talk about night sorrow. He and Mistress Wu Kei are very similar in that they both have things they want to protect. All members of the Eastern Xian region are like this. Just like Lei Hua and Ho Yuan, they both have positions in the Eastern Xian region. Le Trin Xuan smiled bitterly. This is also a good thing. The Eastern Xian region is an iron plate. It can become the second base of Tianji Tower. Mistress Wu Kei knows that Tianjin Tower won't harm the interests of the Eastern Xian region, so there's absolutely no problem. I'll talk to Mistress Wu Kei about this matter later, Lin Daoyuan said. Then, can we leave night sorrow to the Ministry of Supervision? Guo Xiao said. Look at chapter B above, plus XJ, no way. Don't even think about it. I'm already old, and you still want me to guide him. Le Trin Xuan said. Stop shouting. I also need a successor. Hua Haining also spoke, wanting to get night sorrow to his side. Don't argue about this matter. Last time, the Heaven's Fate emissary was taken by the Law Protector Department, so I didn't say anything. This time, none of you have any ideas about night sorrow. Can you go and ask Mistress Wu Kei for him? You can't. If you can't, then don't say anything. I'll go and ask for him, so he's mine. Lin Daoyuan directly made the decision to get night sorrow to his side. All right. Although I'm a little unwilling, this is indeed suitable. Night sorrow has a persistent personality, and he's a good foundation to take charge of the general direction, Le Trin Xuan said. Then it's settled. You all should pay attention to night sorrow's matter. He's a rare seedling, Lin Daoyuan said. Although they were a little unwilling, Lutrin Swan and the others all supported Lin Daoyuan's decision. There's one more thing that we need to make a decision on together. Our Tianji Tower wants to develop a second base. Back then, the establishment of the first base caused quite a stir. I don't want that to happen this time, Lin Yuandao said. If you want to develop a second base in Eastern Xian region, you need to communicate with Mistress Wu Kei. Wei Haining looked at Lin Daoyuan and said. Yes, in Mistress Wu Kei's heart, the division of interests between Tianji Tower and Eastern Xian region is a problem that she's been tangled in. That's why she hasn't come to see us all these years. If we want to untie the knot in her heart and develop a second base, we need to make a statement on this matter. Lin Yuandao looked at Lutrin Swan and the others and said. There's nothing to discuss. Mistress Wu Kei cares about Eastern Xian region and Tianji Tower, so we'll satisfy her any request she has, Li Chongtian said. Then let's do it this way. Our Tianji Tower and Eastern Xian region are tied to the same worship. If something happens to Eastern Xian region, Tianji Tower will also take action. In addition, the matters of Eastern Xian region will still be decided by the city lord's mansion. We're just building a base and cultivating talents, Lin Daoyuan said. I disagree. Eastern Xian region is currently Mistress Wu Kei's world. That's not a problem. But what about the future? If there's a change in power in the future, how will our Tianji Tower deal with it? Guo Xiao voiced his opposition. If I hadn't seen Night's Sorrow, I would also have this concern and wouldn't have made this decision. If Mistress Wu Kei's era of ruling Eastern Xian region is over, then what about the next generation? Will Night's Sorrow be the next Eastern Xian region chief? Lin Daoyuan made some assumptions. After Lin Daoyuan finished speaking, the other four didn't say anything. They were all thinking. In the future, when Mistress Wu Kei confirms Night's Sorrow as the next city lord of Eastern Xian city, the situation will be as awkward as now. Wei Haining asked. Our Tianji Tower's laws are a little vague on this point, causing the two tower lords to be conflicted. Who said that the royal city's city lord can't be Tianji Tower's tower lord? It's because of this concern that our Tianji Tower can't reach its peak state. Now, I'm going to change this law. Lin Yuandao looked at them and announced his decision to change the law. It really needs to be clarified. Our Tianji Tower's members come from all over the place. Who doesn't have a hometown complex? Lutrin Swan said with a sigh. Chapter 480. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small. Shuanet provides you with wonderful novels to read. Yes, so this time we need to talk about some things on the table. Don't be secretive. Fei Chen Lisan is necessary, so that our Tianjin Tower can develop quickly, Lin Yuandao said. This is necessary. When Tianjin Tower recruited members, we said that Tianjin Tower's interests are paramount. Everyone knows this, but Tianjin Tower also has to consider the hearts of its members. Everyone has their own side that they want to protect. In fact, our Tianjin Tower's ancestors thought about this, so there is a rule against fighting for territory. We are afraid that it will disappoint our members, Wei Haining said after Lin Daoyuan's words. Yes, so we must respect the hearts of our members. In addition, if the Eastern Xian region can be built smoothly, many problems can be solved. As for whether the royal city's city lord can be Lord K's problem, as long as Tianjin Tower's interests are paramount, there is nothing wrong with it. Besides, the personnel assessment is a test, and the specific situation can be dealt with accordingly. Then the drawbacks can be eliminated, Lin Daoyuan said, making a decision. After Lin Daoyuan finished speaking, Lutrin Swan and the others stood up and directly expressed their agreement. Good, then I will go to the Eastern Xian region tomorrow. Elderly, you are familiar with Lord Wu Kei, so let's go together. Lin Daoyuan said to Li Jingxian. Let's go, Lin Daoyuan said to Li Jingxian. In addition, everyone should pay more attention to Night Sorrow's matter. Also, don't pull people to your side. I will deal with the arrangements for Night Sorrow. Lin Daoyuan looked at Hua Haining, Guo Xiao, and Li Changtian, then instructed. At this point, the Tianjin Tower's high-level meeting was over, and several important decisions were made. At this time, in the eastern Xian region's tranquil heart cottage, the wind and clouds above the observation tower changed for a long time before calming down. Then Wu Lingfei walked out of the tower. She waved her hand, and the bamboo in the courtyard immediately changed. It became more lush and green, and its height increased. The evolution of the life attribute is complete. I can proceed to the next step, Wu Lingfei muttered to herself before returning to the observation tower. After Night Sorrow finished eating the food prepared by Kei Xiang, he took Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to the courtyard to drink tea and watch the moonlight. The moon is always the same, but it looks different. Back then, in Bamboo Garden Village, in front of the ancestors' graves, the moon felt very bright and cold. It felt very illusory. Now, it doesn't feel as bright as back then, but it feels very real. Night Sorrow said with some emotion. The state of mind. Back then, you were lonely and even a little helpless. After all, things are different now. You have a goal, Yang Lei said. Yes, I was very confused in the past. I wanted to do something, but it felt very distant. Now, I feel that everything is hopeful. As long as I work hard, there will be hope. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. The Night Moon dynasty shouldn't be a problem. A dynasty that has accumulated for countless years won't die so easily. Sikong Chuyu knew what Night Sorrow was thinking. Let's solve our problem first. However, it won't conflict. As long as our cultivation improves, all problems will be solved, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow wanted to do a lot of things, but he felt that he had to deal with the matter between himself and Sikong Chuyu first. If he wanted to be together with Sikong Chuyu openly, he had to get the approval of the Sikong family. Night Sorrow weighed the matter in his heart. The past, like the revenge of the Night Moon family and the fact that the Jiyu family owed old Gu an arm, could not be changed. However, if it didn't happen, he hoped for a happy ending. Yes, so you should calm down. Aren't we together? The truth is the truth. Even if the Sikong family objects, no one can change the truth, Sikong Chuyu said. The future is still very beautiful. Let's rest. Chuyu, do you want to join us? Yang Lei said with a smile. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, no, it's too embarrassing, Sikong Chuyu said with a red face. But it's too tiring to be alone. Just treat it as keeping me company. Yang Lei held Sikong Chuyu's hand and walked towards the main building. Night Sorrow didn't know what to do as he watched Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu leave. If he followed them, he would be embarrassed. If he didn't, he would embarrass Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. The woman had already let go. Why wouldn't he go? While Night Sorrow was still hesitating, Yang Lei turned around and said, Why are you still standing there? Let's go. Night Sorrow nodded and followed. Suddenly, his state of mind changed. There was no need to be conflicted. He just had to follow his heart. After entering the room, Sikong Chuyu suddenly turned the tables. He pushed Yang Lei onto the bed and began to take off Yang Lei's skirt. He even pulled Night Sorrow. Yang Lei resisted for a while, but then she admitted defeat. The meaning of resisting was the same. It was just a matter of who did it first. Besides, she felt that she was Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu's elder sister. There were some things that she should take on first. Then, Sikong Chuyu helped Night Sorrow take off his robe. Then, he turned around. Looking at Yang Lei's delicate body, Night Sorrow couldn't care less and pounced on her. Because Yang Lei was already aroused, it wasn't difficult for the two of them to be together. The battle began. Although Night Sorrow and Yang Lei restrained themselves, they were still very loud. This made Sikong Chuyu feel embarrassed. Even his neck was red and his legs were crossed. Yang Lei made Night Sorrow stop. She hugged Night Sorrow's neck and said something. Then, she sat up and pulled Sikong Chuyu onto the bed. They lingered for a long time. Yang Lei, who was lying side by side with Sikong Chuyu and covered with a blanket, asked in confusion, 13, this isn't right. You weren't this strong before. Why can't the two of us do it? I know. He felt sorry for us and felt that we were tired, so he stopped, Sikong Chuyu said in a low voice. Yang Lei thought for a while and nodded. She understood the reason. Then, the three of them rested together. Night Sorrow hugged the two girls and said gratefully, thank you. We are a family. Chuyu is the younger sister. So, senior sister doesn't need to be embarrassed. Anyway, we didn't embarrass ourselves outside, right? Yang Lei said in a low voice. Yes, I don't mind either. Sikong Chuyu nodded. After hearing the two girls' words, Night Sorrow suddenly felt that he had nothing to say. He could feel the love from the two girls. Looking at the silent Night Sorrow, Sikong Chuyu said, Night Sorrow, didn't you treat us with sincerity? That's why we love you so much. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Yang Lei said, love is mutual. If you can do anything for us, we can do the same. Let's rest. Tomorrow, we will go to the Shantian Tower to take a look. Night Sorrow nodded. Chuyu, didn't you say that the Shantian Tower can improve the power of the soul? We should go through a few more levels and earn more. Sikong Chuyu said, but the price of the Shantian Tower is quite high. Chapter 481. Genius 1 second. Remember, love go divided by little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Ninth senior sister, you really dare to dream. That's the #1 spirit treasure in the Qingtian region. Who doesn't want to move home? But who can do it? If they could, they would have moved home long ago. Why would they wait for me? Night Sorrow said with a smile. He knew that this was Yang Lei. She had a straightforward personality and said what she thought. She never hid anything. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. Calm. Ninth senior sister understands this, but there are some things that you can't think of. For example, there are many people who like Chuyu. They all want to hug the beauty. If you don't want to do it, why would Chuyu lie beside you? Isn't ninth senior sister the same? Who can say for sure about fate? Perhaps the Shantian Tower is fated to be with you, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow, ninth senior sister's words are a bit extreme, but they still make sense. If you don't dare to think about it, there is no possibility of success. Think about it and then do it. As for the result, don't think about it first. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Although she felt that there was no hope, she felt that Yang Lei's words were reasonable. Okay, then let's rest first. Night Sorrow nodded. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu believed in something. Even if it was wrong, he wouldn't refute it. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow and the others were eating breakfast when Guoxiao came with Lan Yuxuan behind him. Greetings, Lord Chief Supervisor. Night Sorrow got up and bowed. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu also bowed slightly. Guoxiao looked at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu and then said to Night Sorrow, "You're welcome. Although I know them, it's only on paper. You have to introduce them to me." Night Sorrow introduced Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to Guo Xiao and introduced Guo Xiao's identity. Sikong Chuyu, the only daughter of the Sikong clan's third young master, Sikong Tianding. I know of her extraordinary talent. Yang Lei. Medicine Valley's earth-shaking hand, Yu Yangyu's ninth disciple. This is also our Tianji Tower's misjudgment, but fortunately, the results are good. I'm in charge of both the inspection department and the supervision department. A Tier 4 expert can serve as an inspector, while a Tier 5 expert can serve as an inspector. However, an inspector is very busy, and I don't think you have much time. Why don't you join the supervision department? Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs.com will follow the chief supervisor's decision. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu both bowed. A Tier 5 supervisor's cultivation is a bit low, and there aren't any missions at the moment. You just have to cultivate diligently. Supervisor Lan, bring them to exchange their tokens later. Guo Xiao said to Lan Yuxuan. This subordinate understands. Lan Yuxuan nodded. Night Sorrow, Tianji Tower's development objective is to put people first, and it's also a place that values relationships and morals. You don't have to feel any pressure or burden. In your heart, the interests of Eastern Xian region are very important. We understand this, so we'll make the appropriate arrangements. Guo Xiao looked at Night Sorrow and said. Many thanks for Lord Chief Supervisor's understanding. Night Sorrow is really grateful. After listening to Guo Xiao's words, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease in his heart. When you feel at ease, your heart will be at peace. In addition, if there's a problem between you and her that needs to be resolved, then let this lord know. This lord is still very willing to make a decision for the young people of Tianji Tower and contribute to your future. Guo Xiao looked at Sikong Chuyu and said. Night Sorrow and the other two bowed again to express their gratitude. What Guo Xiao said was exactly what Night Sorrow was worried about. After that, Guo Xiao left Lan Yuxuan behind and left. Chief Supervisor rarely comes out. It can be seen that you value Lord very much. Lan Yuxuan said. Supervisor Lan, you don't have to be so polite. I already said yesterday that you can just call me by my name. Night Sorrow said. Lan Yuxuan nodded with a smile. She also hoped to get along with Night Sorrow more harmoniously. If she called him Lord, their relationship would indeed become more distant. After that, Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu followed Lan Yuxuan to deal with the issue of their identities. Night Sorrow did not follow them. Instead, he stayed in the mansion to cultivate. The two women only returned at noon. Did it go smoothly? Night Sorrow, who kept his reincarnation spear, asked. It went very smoothly. We treated Sister Lan, who is also Supervisor Lan, to a meal. We will be under her command in the future. However, she asked us to call her Sister Lan. Sikong Chuyu said. It will be more convenient for us to be under her command. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. Actually, it's just a title. The lowest cultivation base of a supervisor is the late void inquiry stage. We are not qualified yet. Yang Lei said. That's not bad. With a position, we will be more free. Night Sorrow nodded with a smile. Yang Lei shook her head. The two of us are just borrowing your glory. It's a little late today. I guess the two of you are tired. We won't go to the Shantian Tower. Let's go tomorrow. Night Sorrow changed the topic of Yang Lei. Chu Yu, did you see that? 13 is changing the topic. He is afraid that we will be embarrassed. However, it's not embarrassing to borrow the glory of our man. We are also willing to do so. Yang Lei said with a smile. Yes. Night Sorrow is also much more tactful now. Sikong Chuyu nodded. After that, the two women practiced their combat techniques. Night Sorrow began to concoct pills. He had obtained a lot of materials in the death space and also exchanged for some materials in the East Garden City. He planned to concoct all of them into pills. He concocted pills until the sky turned dark. Only then did Night Sorrow stop to have supper with the two women. KV Most. New C Chapter Top, Chuyu, how far is this place from the Grand Clarity Domain? Night Sorrow asked. It's not far. The Grand Clarity Domain is connected to the Qingtian Domain to the north, the Nanli Domain to the south, the Taiyue Domain to the east, and the Three Origin Domain to the west. Sikong Chuyu was very familiar with the geography of the 9 domains. Then Sikong Chuyu explained the geography of the 9 domains to Night Sorrow. The Qingtian Domain was in the middle. The Taiyue Domain and the Eastern Profound Domain were in the east. The Grand Clarity Domain and the Nanli Domain were in the south. The Three Origin Domain and the Western Nether Domain were in the west. The Unbounded Desolation and the Northern Sea region were in the north. Night Sorrow pondered for a moment. That means the northeast corner of the Grand Clarity Domain and the southwest corner of the Eastern Profound Domain are very close. Yes. This is certain. What do you mean? I understand. Sikong Chuyu understood why Night Sorrow asked this question. If you have time, make a detailed map. Otherwise, I'll be an idiot, Night Sorrow said. When we go to the Shantian Tower, let's take a look at the trade street. There's nothing you can't buy on the trade street. Of course, you have to have hard currency, Sikong Chuyu said. That's not a problem. Does our 13 lack spirit stones? Yang Lei said with a smile. Night Sorrow took out the spirit item catalog that Feng Qin had left behind and looked at it with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. I'm more interested in the trade street. We had good luck in East Park City, so I hope we can keep it in Qingtian City. Come, let's look at the spirit item catalog. This way, we can recognize the good stuff and don't be blind. Chapter 482. Genius 1 Second Remember Love Go Shao. It provides you with interesting novels to read. The things recorded in this handbook are very complete. Many of them are rare. After memorizing them, you won't miss anything in the future. Sikong Chuyu opened her mouth and said. That's right, Sikong Chuyu said. So let's take a look. We can't do things like being blind. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Picking up scraps is also an opportunity. For example, we met that guy who had the Void Dao stone. He got the opportunity but couldn't grasp it and it slipped away. If he didn't have enough luck, he wouldn't be able to enjoy some rare natural treasures. Sikong Chuyu said. After the three of them were almost done studying the handbook, they made tea and went back to their rooms to cultivate. During this period of time, they had been rushing on their journey. However, Night Sorrow did not neglect his cultivation. Currently, his true qi cultivation had already reached the late void inquiry stage. After working hard for a while, he would be able to reach the peak of the void inquiry stage. His cultivation of the myriad Tao text had also improved very quickly. He was also very close to the peak of the first level Tao seeking realm. After sensing his own cultivation base, Night Sorrow felt that his innate talent in cultivation might indeed be quite good because Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were still at the mid-void inquiry stage. Everyone's cultivation time and resources were about the same. Such a gap could only be explained by innate talent. Moreover, Night Sorrow cultivated the myriad Tao text, the power of his bloodline and the power of his soul at the same time. After cultivating for an entire night, Night Sorrow washed up and woke up early to practice his spear techniques. After the two ladies came out and had breakfast, the three of them went out to the streets. After leaving the residential area of the Tianji Tower, the three of them took off their masks in a corner where there was no one around. Sikong Chuyu put on her veil. The three of them sat on Night Sorrow's Tianyu and flew towards the Shantian Tower. The core area of Sky-bearing City was near the Shantian Tower. The City Lord's mansion was there. The Tianji Tower's branch in Sky-bearing region was also in that area. That area was also the place with the most shops, as well as a trading street. Sky-bearing City is the royal city of the Sky-bearing region. All the sects with some strength have strongholds and shops here. The Jiyu family has a large sphere of influence in Sky-bearing City, and so does the Sikong family. So be careful. If there are any problems, block them for me, Sikong Chuyu said. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei nodded. If Sikong Chuyu met someone he knew, he would need someone to stop him. When they arrived near the Shantian Tower, the three got off their mounts. Night Sorrow put away the Tianyu, and then under the guidance of the two women, they began to go shopping. Shopping was a woman's nature. She was interested in everything she saw, and Night Sorrow was her companion. Night Sorrow was not interested in the shops on the street. The shops were all very formatted, and the items were almost the same. They were all goods that everyone needed. Night Sorrow was not interested in the things that everyone needed. He liked the way street stalls traded. It felt casual, and he could bargain as much as he wanted. There were also all kinds of goods. After walking through a long trading street, the three entered a plaza. This was the trading area, a more casual one. Night Sorrow did not call out Sikong Chuyu's name. He only said one word, "Feather, why don't you enter some of the shops?" Sikong Chuyu smiled and said, "There are signs on the signs. Those are the businesses of the two I mentioned. I don't want to cause trouble, so I won't go in. There are so many shops on the trading street anyway." After entering the trading area, the three began to stare at the stalls. First, Night Sorrow bought a huge map of the 9-domain world. Because it was very detailed, Night Sorrow spent 3 high-grade spirit stones. However, Night Sorrow felt that the spirit stones were worth it. The map was very detailed. The ancient sect ruins, the current sect location, and the Medicine Valley were all carved on it. Night Sorrow felt that this map could be used for a long time. 3 high-grade spirit stones were nothing. Then, the three continued to stroll. As long as there were rare herbs and ores, Night Sorrow would use elixirs to barter or spirit stones to buy them. Night Sorrow wanted to study alchemy techniques, and alchemy materials were indispensable. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu followed behind him. Night Sorrow also saw Lan Yushuan. Lan Yushuan was wearing a mask and was quite a distance away from the two of them. Night Sorrow and the others didn't greet Lan Yushuan because she was wearing a mask. They also knew that Lan Yushuan's purpose was to protect the three of them. Then, Night Sorrow stopped. A vendor's shouting attracted Night Sorrow's attention. This was a rather sloppy old peddler. Looking at his lethargic appearance, Yishang knew that he didn't have much lifespan left. However, what made Yishang feel strange was that everyone else ignored this peddler. The old man was peddling a piece of crystal. "Brother, don't mind him. He's just an old swindler. His lifespan is nearing its end, causing his heart to collapse. He said that the crystal is a water attribute crystal king. It's just a big crystal. Is there a need to act like that?" A man walked past Night Sorrow and reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded to the man to express his gratitude. However, he didn't leave. He had just used his soul force to scan the so-called water attribute crystal king. In addition to the water attribute, he also found an energy that could resist the probing of soul force. Night Sorrow once again probed with his soul force and found the power of law. This meant that it wasn't a crystal stone. No matter what it was, as long as it contained the power of law, it was a good thing. Update T new or fastest up X, how much are you selling it? Night Sorrow asked. Spirit liquid, I only want spirit liquid, spirit spring spirit liquid. The old man said excitedly. He didn't have much lifespan left, so if he wanted to prolong his life, spirit spring spirit liquid was the best thing. Of course, spirit spring spirit liquid was of a higher grade than spirit spring spirit liquid, but it wasn't known by others. How many drops? Night Sorrow asked. Night Sorrow was the first to go to the void domain. Tianji Tower had given him a bottle of spirit spring spirit liquid, but he had already used it up. Some time ago, when he was fighting against the dark creatures in Broken Cloud Mountain, Leihua had given him another bottle. 30 drops, no, 40 drops. The old man looked at Night Sorrow with excitement. Then keep it for yourself. Night Sorrow coldly snorted. First of all, not to mention the value of this crystal stone, when the old man heard that Night Sorrow had spirit spring spirit liquid, he directly raised the price. This made Night Sorrow very disgusted. Not to mention that he was a cultivator, even if he was a businessman, he couldn't be so shameless. Then 30 drops. The old man quickly changed his words. 15 drops. One more drop, you can keep it company with you. Night Sorrow glanced at the old man and fiercely raised the price. His words were also somewhat sharp. In the past, Night Sorrow's character wasn't like this, but the old man's treacherous style had aroused his disgust. All right. I'll sell it. The old man's facial muscles twitched as he made a decision. No matter how valuable this crystal stone was, it wasn't as important as his life. The spirit spring spirit liquid was something he could use to prolong his life. Night Sorrow took out the spirit spring spirit liquid and poured 15 drops into an empty bottle under the old man's nervous eyes. He then handed it to the old man and kept the crystal stone that didn't look very valuable. Holding it in his hand, Night Sorrow knew that he had made a profit again. This was an incomplete water-attributed saint crystal. Of course, saint crystals didn't contain much energy. Most of it was rule force, so ordinary people wouldn't be able to discover it. Chapter 483. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Sorry. I'm not selling it. Night Sorrow put the broken saint crystal into his storage ring. What a joke. It was fine if he didn't recognize it, but how could Night Sorrow sell it when he recognized it as a saint crystal, even if it was broken? The Sikong Chuyu was of the water attribute, so the more the better. The source stone contained the law of the water attribute, but it wasn't comprehensive. If he supplemented it with a saint crystal, the possibility of the Sikong Chuyu entering the saint realm in the future would be greater. I'll pay double. The old man in a green robe said. I won't sell it even if it's several times the price. Sorry. Night Sorrow refused again and got up to leave. He knew that the old man was very strong. He couldn't see his cultivation, so he might be a venerable. If one's soul power wasn't strong enough, or if one didn't have enough knowledge, they wouldn't be able to recognize the saint crystal. I'll take it. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't give him any face, the old man blocked Night Sorrow's way. At the same time, he was a little angry. How can you buy it by force? What's the difference between this and robbery? Can you rob everyone here just because you want it? Night Sorrow looked at the old man in green robe and said. So what? I'm asking you to take out the crystal now, or you'll have to bear the consequences. The old man narrowed his eyes and looked at Night Sorrow. There are robberies every year, but I've never seen one on the street. Lan Yuxuan walked over. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, Sir from Tianji Tower, you don't have to get involved in this mess, do you? I have a reward for you. The old man in green robe looked at Lan Yuxuan and said, I don't need your reward. I can't stand this. You'd better leave before something bad happens. Lan Yuxuan's eyes flashed under the mask. If the man in green robe still didn't know when to stop, she would make a move. Leave your name. The green-robed elder looked at Lan Yuxuan and then turned to look at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, who are you? Night Sorrow didn't have the habit of hiding his identity. Ji Yuan Dang, you better remember this. Ji Yu and Yuan Dang glanced at Night Sorrow, then stood up and left. He was very angry, but Lan Yuxuan's existence made him helpless. Night Sorrow glanced at Yuan Dang's back, then nodded to Lan Yuxuan and prepared to leave with the two girls. I won't sell the crystal stones. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to leave, the old man who had bought the spring water was a bit reluctant. He knew that he might have made a loss, otherwise, Ji Yu and Yuan Dang wouldn't have paid so much. I'm not selling. Do you think I'll stop selling just because you say so? I don't want to stir up trouble. If you want to act shamelessly, I don't mind sending you away before your lifespan ends. Night Sorrow looked at the old man with killing intent in his eyes. This old man had no principles and no bottom line. You still want to kill? Guards, this is a robbery. The old man jumped and said. Can we fight and kill here? Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and asked. Yes. Sikong Chuyu nodded. Then why am I still talking nonsense with him? Night Sorrow raised his right hand and pulled out the reincarnation spear from his shoulder. He directly threw out the 7-star glorious moon spear. The spear body carried a strong vibration force. Buzz! The vibration force on the reincarnation spear shook violently, shaking away the long sword that the old man hurriedly pulled out. Then, the spear directly penetrated the old man's forehead. When he withdrew the spear, Night Sorrow shook his wrist and took back the bottle of spirit stone water in the old man's hand. Night Sorrow put the reincarnation spear on his back and threw 2 mid-grade spirit stones at the old man's corpse. Who has the time to collect the corpse? Love go little say W. Chu, however, Yang Lei was very greedy and took off the old man's storage ring. Night Sorrow and the others continued forward. As for the corpse, someone would take care of it. It wouldn't lie there forever. Spirit stones were still very powerful. Then, Night Sorrow continued his treasure hunt. If there were pills and materials, he would exchange them. In any case, he didn't lack pills. Night Sorrow could still make a profit by exchanging pills for materials. That guy has always been there. He hasn't given up and has been following us. Yang Lei said. I know, that thing is very precious. He also discovered the secret. Qingtian City isn't easy to survive in. That guy might be a venerable one. Night Sorrow said. Supervisor Lan has always been behind us. He shouldn't dare to do anything. Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow nodded, but he didn't like this feeling because he couldn't control it. His fate was in the hands of others. The feeling of powerlessness was too strong. They didn't continue shopping. Night Sorrow and the others went directly to the Shantian Tower. When I have time, I'll set up a stall in exchange for good things. Night Sorrow said as he walked. Indeed, the demand for elixirs is the greatest. The things we exchange for are elixirs first and spirit stones later. In addition, there aren't many stalls that sell elixirs. The ones that do sell elixirs have very high prices. Yang Lei nodded. She felt that Yi Shang's method was feasible. If you have a skill, you won't starve to death. This old saying is true. Sikong Chuyu nodded. Then the 3 of them arrived in front of the Shantian Tower. There was a clean circle around the Shantian Tower. No one set up a stall here. The outer circle was the trading area. It was a prosperous area. However, the Shantian Tower was a holy land. No one was allowed to casually approach or profane it. There were city guards of Qingtian City guarding it. If anyone dared to mess around, they would be killed. Night Sorrow brought the two girls to the front gate of the Shantian Tower. There were people guarding it. Night Sorrow told the old guard why they had come, which was to challenge the tower. The old guard looked at Night Sorrow's group and said, "First hand over your spirit stones. Below the 40th floor, 1 mid-grade spirit stone per floor. From the 40th to the 50th floor, 1 high-grade spirit stone per floor. From the 50th floor to the 60th floor, 10 high-grade spirit stones per floor. Above the 60th floor, 1 extreme grade spirit stone per floor. Every floor will double the price." After Night Sorrow paid the price for the 50th floor and below, he asked, "For the 3 of us, here are 120 mid-grade spirit stones for the 40th floor and below. These are 30 high-grade spirit stones for the 50th floor. As for after the 50th floor, we don't know how many floors we can reach. What do you say? In order to avoid unnecessary trouble and embarrassment, you have to pay in advance. Remember not to exceed the floor you paid in advance. Otherwise, it will be very unpleasant if you can't make up for it when you come out. Also, after you enter, you will be automatically teleported out in 3 days," the old man said. "All right. If I don't use it, can I return the money I paid in advance?" Night Sorrow asked. He didn't want to be swindled by others. From the actions of Ji-Yu's family members and that peddler, he knew that the Qingtian city was very chaotic. "Yes, there is no problem. No one dares to look down on the city lord Manor's reputation," the old man said. Night Sorrow directly took out 150 high-grade spirit stones. "Pay in advance first. I'll calculate the amount when I come out." The old man nodded at Night Sorrow and took out 3 jade tablets. He handed them to Night Sorrow's group. The Shantian Tower's monitoring system was similar to the Thunder Tower. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.